Hey, this is Chase Sexton. You're listening to the MotoXpod show.
What's up, you guys? Jeremy McGrath here. You are listening to MotoXpod show.
Hey, we're back, and it's time for another Vital MX MotoXpod show, presented, as always, by Racetech and Yamaha Motor USA. I'm looking forward to the show tonight because we have a great guest lineup. Although there was no race this past weekend, guys, we've got plenty to talk about. Southwick's coming up, so we can we'll talk about our thoughts on who's going to do well there. We're going to do obviously our picks for the race, for the 450 class. Plenty to talk about. I also raced the South Central qualifier up at regional at Thunder Valley, so we can get into some of the things there. I think some people saw the video of my awesome start in the first moto. So,
that wasn't your fault.
No, but we can explain that because some people still seem to think like, oh, I did something wrong. But we'll get into all that good stuff. But as far as guests, a great guest lineup. We have Monster Energy Star Yamaha Racing's Max Anstie, their newest member. We have Andrew and Hudson Short. They're going to come on. They were at Thunder Valley. Hudson did not race, but we'll get into all that. We'll talk about those guys. And then Pro Circuit, Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki's Austin Forkner is going to join us, kind of get an update. I'm sure most of you guys saw the videos that he posted on his Instagram right after his injury, and then the most updated one about the brain surgery. So, yeah, we want to see how he's doing, where his headspace is at, and he's always a great guest. So, he'll be on, but in studio, as always, Scotty Thompson, working the cameras, YouTube chat. What's up?
Oh, just repping my new gear that you had nicely laid out for me. I appreciate all of our sponsors keeping me stocked on shirts and hats and stuff.
Well, TBolt USA is a new sponsor. Blood Lubricants is no longer with us, but that's okay. We still support Blood. We don't have an oil sponsor right now.
Don't give me the hat then.
Well, okay, give it back. Yeah, he was nice enough to give us all hats and stuff. So, yeah, so I hooked you up, but yeah, you're welcome from them.
Thank you.
Jeff and Vince. Yes.
Great people.
Huh?
Great people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still run Blood all the time, no matter what. So
I'm a bit biased by them.
Yeah. I'm sure you are. Blood Lubricants still kicking some butt, sending us some gear. So appreciate that. Also in studio, you heard his voice. This is TJ Smith 5.0, not 2.0. This is heavily upgraded Smith jeans. It's all because of his wife, Kathy. But in studio, Doc Smith, what's up?
Not much. We're just here hanging out.
Yeah, since your dad just doesn't show up. I mean, randomly, he's here like once every couple months. He might be here. Kind of the way he was as a father, right? Sometimes he's around, sometimes he's not.
He did just fine with that.
Well, you didn't know any better. You didn't know any better. Well, we're going to get into the Racetech Open discussion to start this thing off. And I'm sure everybody knows, but Racetech is the world's largest aftermarket motorcycle suspension modification company with over 35 years of experience for providing factory-level suspension to the everyday rider. Racetech Gold valves provide a plush feel, drastically improved bottoming resistance, and increased traction. All Racetech products are 100% guaranteed and made in the USA. Check out racetech.com. You can find your local service center, get to know your local service tech. Those guys will help you out. A lot of times they're at the track. As a matter of fact, at Thunder Valley, the local Racetech rep came down. We're going to talk about Matt Byton, unfortunately. But the Racetech rep came down because Matt is friends with Checkers, and Checkers texted his guy and told him to come find me. And he came down to make sure we didn't need anything as we were loading Matt's van and offered his services. But they're just a great group of people. You're going to have to get your suspension service at some point. You may need to revalve it, respring it. Hit up racetech.com, find them, and they'll take care of you. Before we get into some of what I just mentioned about Matt, let's briefly talk about Southwick coming up this weekend. I'm excited to get back to some racing. Doc, you're in here. You're a pro racer. You're not racing right now. You're doing some recovery and getting back in shape and all those things. But have you raced Southwick?
I did, yes.
Okay, I thought you had done it at least once.
In 2022.
So you kind of have an idea of how the track forms, at least for the one time you're there. You've watched it on TV forever. this race could be a little bit of a game changer. Like, I don't think Deegan loses the championship because of one round, obviously, but it could give, I think it's going to give us some spots for a couple guys to step up, and maybe Hayden has not the best week. There's definitely a possibility. If you look at last year, where I think he got 6th overall, it was his worst race of the year. I don't believe he's going to have a 6th overall this year. I think he's improved. I think he's matured. Some of the riders like Hunter, Hunter Lawrence and Justin Cooper have moved up, but it's certainly a possibility that he could get 3rd, maybe. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think he's going to do just fine there.
You think he wins? Well, yeah, because we're not going to do our picks for 250. So do you think he wins?
I think he'll do really. I think he'll do really well. He's already coming off of already some really good results and riding amazing. Mm-hmm. So I don't like that's just going to keep him moving forward in these races. And he's already on a bike that we already know is a really fast bike that's handling well, all that kind of stuff. And a really fast bike on a sand track is always really nice as well.
Yeah. And Scotty, we also have our first guest of the night that's coming up in a little bit, Max Anstie, now on Star Yamaha. He's going to make his Star Yamaha debut at Southwick. There are some people with hyping up that, hey, he could win this thing. And yes, he could. What do you see? What do you like? Just, crystal ball. What do you see happening?
Obviously coming into a series right up, not being in the class for the first couple of rounds is always a big ask, but I think I'm kind of on the hype train with that everybody's had with him. He's experienced. That track suits people that have had that experience. Look at what it did for Vial last year. Because being in that type of condition is what he's used to overseas. So, I mean, I would not be surprised. I don't know if I would say expectations are a podium, but I wouldn't be surprised if he went like 1-3 or 2-3 or 3-3 or 5-4-2, something like that. I don't know.
I think he's going to be podium, Max.
Yeah.
I think Hayden was riding at Southwick last weekend.
Do we know what kind of, is he good? Is he good physical shape and conditioning when riding a lot?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's good. I mean, we'll get into all that and see what he says. But, yeah, I think our guy, Lewis Phillips, is hyping him up, and Lewis is really tight with him. I think Lewis might actually be staying with him right now. He's in Florida.
Yeah.
I think Max is going to be good. I think Vial, I'm going to pick Vial to win again. He won last year. And then I think I'm going to give Max 2nd and Hayden 3rd. That's tough. That's maybe a little bit of a hot take. I'm not sure, but
if we go off of history, those picks, your picks,
don't work out.
It's never going to be that.
I think also a lot of times when a rider comes into their first race mid-season, you said a minute ago it's a lot to ask sometimes, but it's also they have a little extra.
Yeah, that's
because
a good
they
point.
haven't been racing, and all of a sudden you go, oh wow, maybe Max does go 1-1.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
Who knows? I think it's going to be exciting. I'm just glad we're back to racing. It was kind of good for me to not have a race to follow and watch this weekend because I was up at Thunder Valley.
You're halfway across the country. Yeah.
It would have been difficult to do that. So I was kind of glad we didn't have a race, but now I'm ready to get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the 450 class, I think it's business as usual. I just think I'm going, well, I don't want to get in my picks, but I think that's business as usual.
Yeah.
Jet's going to continue to be the guy to a large degree. Very hard to beat. I don't think anything crazy happens. So we'll get to our EVS picks at the end of the show.
And we've talked about that before. The opportunity for everybody to make up some ground while he was recovering from the Hangtown crash, it's probably, that opportunity is probably gone now.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think that I think I've said this before, that there's no chance for Chase to win the championship or somebody else to win it, but it's getting more and more slim, right? Chase could certainly win this weekend.
Oh yeah, I mean he always has a chance.
Yeah, but we'll get to those picks. I'm really excited about it. I wish Eli, this is a weekend where I really wish Eli was here, and because Eli, I don't think he did real well last year. I'm trying to remember the results, but
he was always good at the end of the race.
He's really good at Southwick, so very excited about Southwick coming up. But let's get it. There was some negative news this weekend. We won't get into it too heavy unless you guys have some questions. I mean, I was at Thunder Valley when freestyle legend Matt Byton got hurt. He had a crash. I did not witness the crash, but Michael Gage, our friend, we helped get his van loaded up, went to the hospital to see him. He and I were the first ones there. And I had actually never met Matt until Sunday at the hospital.
Oh, wow.
I've seen him at Billadilla. I saw him at Thunder Valley. I just never have introduced myself. We weren't right there where we could talk. So not the best way to meet him, but really a bummer. I know a lot of the social media people in the industry are kind of been reaching out and checking on him. I know Road to Recovery is working on some stuff. I don't think anything's been posted yet, but I hope that all our listeners pay attention to that. And when the opportunity comes up that you guys can help out, he does have a 2.5-year-old son and a wife, and he is permanently paralyzed. Like he had surgery last night. But they pretty well made it clear with the type of injury he had, there was almost no chance of recovery.
I mean, you can never say never, but that's not what you want to hear.
No. And I think a lot of times they would say, like, you know, because he asked, like, there's a chance, right, with the surgery, maybe I could walk her, and the nurse just, the neurosurgeon PA just kind of shook her head. She's like, it's, and if you see the x-ray he posted, it's bad. It's really, really bad. He has no feeling from the nipples down. He can move his arms, and you know, I don't know how much he wants it. Anybody that has this type of injury is not going to be in a very good place. So Sunday night, you know, he wasn't in a great place. He's like, I can't do this to my wife and my kid. You know, things that you would normally you would think if you were in this position. He's struggling, man, and you know, we were just kind of, me and Michael and a couple of his buddies showed up and like, hey, you know, your son's going to be here tomorrow, right? Your wife's coming. You're going to be able, you still can hold your son. And he's like, yeah, you know, I got to be here for my kid. And then one of the nurses came in and he's like, this is it, right? I'm just going to be laying here for the rest of my life. Like, I can't. And she said, no, you'll be in a wheelchair. And he goes, oh shit, can I do wheelies? So like, he was kind of up and down, you know, but he was finding some positives and, you know, and then also finding the negatives. But I think, I hope the industry comes together. He's going to need some support. But really, really sad. I don't know if you guys, if you do have any questions or any thoughts on.
I mean, it's just sad. Unfortunately, it's not a, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a very common injury in our sport, but it's not like he's the first
certainly
one.
A possibility, right?
Yeah. And we've seen a lot of people. I mean, you just name off a couple of the great ones that you hear of, Mitch and David Bailey, and I know that there's been others like Doug Henry and a lot
of local Texas guys.
Yeah, it's happened. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, and we're kind of been working on trying to get him in touch with some of those people, and the people have been reaching out to me. And I had Matt's phone for a little while, so I was trying to respond to a lot of people, and like Greg Schnell
it's just
going
scary.
up there. My friend Chad Mayo from Dallas reached out. He owns a construction company. He said, hey, get me in touch with the family. I'll do all the ADA work at their house for free.
Yeah.
We'll get him taken care of. So the industry is already starting to come together.
Yeah.
And Matt, like, he was laying there and he said, man, like last weekend I was doing a show doing flips, you know, and then I end up just a weird crash at a motocross track. And here I am. You really never know. And it had me and Michael, like, just really thinking about our mortality, right? You never know.
Yeah.
And it could be anywhere. It could be right now. I mean, hell, a tree could fall outside the house and land on us right now, right? But doing what we do definitely puts us in a heightened state of danger.
Yeah. Well, and then, you know, kind of, I know eventually we don't want to keep dwelling on it. But to kind of have a good remembrance of, you know, what he was, for the people that are kind of newer to the sport or maybe don't realize, I mean, he was what I know him as is the step up king.
Yeah, for sure.
He beat Carmichael, McGrath, Tomcat Clowers. Like everybody that tried to go beat him, it's X Games step up. They like maybe one or two times, but it was always him versus whoever's the challenger is, and it was really cool. And I had heard that he'd been moving to Texas a couple years ago, and he was making his scene making his way back to the scene and riding. And when you texted us in the group chat on Sunday, I was just, man, I didn't even know what to say. Like everything I tried to type, it felt like it was
never enough.
Yeah, he called me today and I was like, how you feeling? And he's like, oh, I feel paralyzed. And I was like, yeah, I guess that was a dumb question.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, and I didn't mean it as like, hey, you feeling good? He had surgery last night. I was kind of, are you more comfortable? But yeah, he was like, yeah, I feel paralyzed. I was like,
well, that's cool that he reached out to you.
Yeah, well, he was asking some stuff about his van, and he knows we've been trying to help out. So him and he's got his friend Kevin Gowdy up there. His best friend has been helping out. So they've all been kind of keeping me in
post
touch.
All this stuff for his road to recovery stuff and all that.
Yeah, we'll be sharing all that as things come up. Checkers will be a lot of people that love the guy. Will be helping him out. But I guess that's really it with Matt. Just dude. I mean, if you're religious anyway, prayers, at least positive thoughts, whatever you can send. They're going to need it, but I think he's got a really good group of people around him. Well, I know he does. So it's going to be okay, man. I mean, it's going to be tough. It's definitely life-changing, but I think he'll be okay, as far as long-term, and he's got his kid to worry about. So, yeah, it sucks. It's definitely, I cried. Like I said, I didn't meet him until Sunday, but I cried 4 or 5 times in the hospital, just like on the phone with people that I was talking to, some of his friends, or even he's sitting there can you hold my hand? And
yeah, his wife and kids weren't there yet, right?
No, they flew out like 6:30 Monday morning.
She's just sitting there, and they just get a call.
Yeah, and his dad flew out here. You know what? Just public PA. What do you call it? Public service announcement.
PSA.
If you have an iPhone, maybe you can do this with Droid. I don't know, but you can put in your emergency contacts so that even if your phone is locked, a person can get into it.
Oh, like as part of the emergency button?
There's another slider there. Yeah. I had no idea, but thankfully he had his filled out, and I was able to call his dad.
Yeah.
Because his phone was locked, and he's in the ambulance, and I called his dad and say, hey, man, and he's like, oh, crap, we were watching time and scoring. We had no idea. He just never came around. I put like my mom, and I put Amber in mine so that you just never know, right?
Yeah.
So, do that. So if something ever does bad happen. But, she had to wait till the next morning. His dad flew up that night, landed like 7 p.m. Sunday night. So he had some family there and some friends. And, then, it's just everybody coming together now. Okay, so prayers to him. Yamaha Motor USA, a reputation for dominance. It doesn't happen overnight. It's built over decades. The YZ store is 50 years of iconic machines and groundbreaking innovations. Yamaha's new 50th anniversary edition YZs pay tribute to a half-century of championship-winning performance wrapped in stunning retro style. Check them out at YamahaMotorsports.com. My retro Yamaha took me to Thunder Valley. I did not take my retro Yamaha to a ticket to Berettas, though.
Didn't take you past
failed.
Thunder Valley.
I failed. But if I'm being honest, I think I did talk about this a little bit on Pulp last night. I don't know how many people listen. I ended up going, so this was a 3-moto format, unlike the West Coast ones. I went 14, 12, 9 for 11th overall. The 14 in the first moto was much contributed to that start that some of you may have seen on Instagram. We'll talk about that in a second. But the positives I took away is every single moto I had a guy I battled with. It was a different guy in all 3.
Yeah.
But Moto 1, me and this dude on a gas, his name was Derek something. I don't remember the last name, but we passed each other about 7 times.
Oh, wow.
It was awesome, man. We were just like block passing and pushing, and it was so cool. I think he beat me. Yeah, I think he beat me. I don't even remember. Maybe I beat him. I can't remember. But every moto I had something like that. And it made it so fun. Somehow my last lap of all 3 motos was my fastest lap of each moto.
Yeah.
When I was the most tired and felt like I couldn't hold on. Maybe that's why I was going faster, because I was whiskeying a little too much. I don't know.
Yeah, you just got comfortable and in a groove, I guess.
It really taught me a lot. You've raced Thunder Valley.
Yeah.
The higher elevation gets you a little bit.
Just a bit,
some breathing. Kind of makes the bike feel a little funny when you're riding, at least.
It's a lot slower.
Yeah, I like that part of it.
It's significant.
I like that part of it. But it was a blast, man. I'm doing it again next year, for sure. I'm in now. I feel like I learned a lot. I know what I need to work on. So I wasn't too upset about failing.
How many people was in the total in your class?
22.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, man. And we were looking at the scores.
If you're mid-pack in a was it area?
Regional is the one before. Yeah. The area is like the easy one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you're mid-pack in that, I mean, that's everybody made it there. Like they didn't just show up. So I mean, like
the top guys like Michael Gage were just gone.
I mean, and we consider there's guys like that in there, like
Michael Keating just crushing it on a 125 two-stroke.
When I heard your results, they were honestly better than I thought.
Really? Wow, you got low expectations. I thought I'd be. I was thinking 8th or 9th. That's where I was expecting to be, 8th or 9th.
With all the,
which
I see.
I was saying with all the troll training and
is that a voice break?
Always. All the troll training and all the training you've been putting in, I was like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen now.
Yeah.
So I was expecting you to get in. I had high expectations, like what y'all have for me.
I appreciate that. I think like we looked at the results at the points, and had I been able to go 999, I actually would have made it, because like 8 or 6 back was so inconsistent that if I could have been more consistent, I probably would have made it. But that bad start. So let's talk about this. If you guys saw the start on my Instagram, and I think a few other people shared it, It looks like one of the worst starts of all time. I'm so far, like I'm literally, here's what happened. I line up at the gate and the class before us, same thing, held it forever, like 15 seconds. We get to our gate. The gate guy looks at us like he always does, right? He goes down with his finger, making sure everybody's ready. Well, let's go. He walks as slow as humanly possible to the doghouse, and he stands outside the doghouse for a minute. And I'd noticed they'd been doing that because they were waiting for the class before us to get far enough. He's got a radio on. He's waiting for them to say, yeah, you can let him go. So as soon as he goes in the doghouse, everybody's, like you would.
Yeah.
Right? 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds. And I'm looking over. You see me on the video. I keep looking over like, what's going on? Okay. He's got to be coming back out. So then I let off the gas and I see smoke coming from all the other bikes who are burning their clutches up.
And you're already in elevation.
At about this point, I look up along the start and on the left-hand side, there's a light, a big yellow LED. I didn't even notice the light before. And I go, oh, so there's a light and it's yellow. There must have been a crash. Surely that's why we're waiting. He's about to come back out and say, hang tight. So I put the bike in neutral. I sit up, the gate drops.
Yeah.
And I slam it down into first. I think I actually shifted up into second. And then I was like, whoa. Yeah. So,
you actually got to the first corner like okay for as much as went down. Like,
yeah, I caught up pretty quick. And then I think I was 14th at the end of the first lap, and I moved to I passed like a couple guys, but then a guy passed me.
Oh, okay.
And the guy I was battling with the guy, but without that start, I felt like I was catching the guys in front of me until I started battling with the guy on the gas, and then that because we were block passing, and then that was it. It is what it is, man. I mean, I came away with this much more. I came away from this much more positive than Fox for sure.
Well, okay. So first of all, that was the most confused starting gate I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, there is another video because Amber was up on top of the hill. We didn't even do our highs and lows. We need to do that real quick. But Amber was up on top of the hill because she drove up and she videoed it from the other direction. Mm-hmm. And everybody, like in that video, you can see the whole line almost, and you see everybody just like looking around. Yeah, it was very confusing.
Wait, hold on. I do have a question. 0% chance, because I listened to y'all talk about it on Pulp. 0% chance that anything about the light system was mentioned in the rider's meeting. So
Mathis asked me that, right?
I know,
he said,
but
did you miss it? And I said, no. But I kind of questioned myself. I'm like, maybe
that's what
I
I'm
did.
getting at.
So I asked Gage.
0% chance that any of that was ever said.
There was a number of people that came to the gate, including myself, to talk to the guy afterwards that none of us knew. Only a couple of locals were like, oh, yeah, we knew. There's a gate. Because the gate guy told me we use the light system. I was like, well, we didn't know that. So after that, it was fine. But a whole bunch of people complained.
See, yeah. To me, that is kind of unacceptable. Like if it was just a local, hey, you just went to a local Thunder Valley race, that's okay. So no, you know your local track. But this is, everybody from Texas and this whole area had to go there in order to go to Loretta's. Like they didn't have a choice. Like that's where their regional was. Like we have to go there. So you can't just expect them to know local rules that
you're right.
Yeah, like I would. You invested a lot of time and money to go out there, and then to just first moto just to pretty much be screwed out of a chance. I mean, who's to say you would have done any different? But you got better. I mean, what happens? What if you pulled the whole shot in that race? You don't know. Now
that being said, he wasn't the only one that got messed up in that start.
Yeah,
I know,
but if you watch the video, you see a bunch of other guys come from the left, way behind me even. But
that kind of goes to my point, though. Like, if there's that many people that get messed up, then that's a red flag situation.
Well, and the rider I was battling with said, he's like, I thought they're surely going to red flag it when we would come back around. So, because I agree. I could have been real quick because we're running late on time. MotoXpod@gmail.com if you want to get involved. If you want any comments, don't forget Vital MX has a fantasy game. You can sign up for the MotoXpod Show League. So do that on VitalMX.com. We are going to announce a winner. We're going to draw for a winner for the FXR casual giveaway. Last week we asked you guys listening to send us your best stories of riding with your dad. And I got 5 or 6 of them that I really want to talk about. I couldn't pick one, so we're going to draw out of a hat in a little bit. So we'll do those. We were going to try to do those at the intro of the show, but we're running a little short on time. It's almost time to get Max on. But yes, I felt like after my ride, I took a drink of water. I kind of cooled off. Not angry, but just because I was hot, like literally hot. I said, man, I'm going to go talk to this gate guy. So I walked up there and I said, hey, man, I'm not going to bitch at you. I'm not complaining. I just want to have a question.
I didn't understand
because I want to make sure this isn't something that's going to happen every moto, but you held us a really, really long time and we were really confused. And I didn't understand what was going on. I told him what happened. He goes, "Oh no." He's like, "Well, we have a light system." I said, "Well, nobody told us that." And he was like, man, I don't know. Cause he wasn't part of the rider's job.
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I'm not mad at you." He said, I listen to my headphones and they tell me when to go. And I go in there and he said, there's no light until I stare you down and I make sure everybody's ready. And then I hit the yellow. I walk down to the hill, and when they tell me to go, I hit green, and I go in the doghouse, and from like 1 to 5 seconds, I was like, well, dude, it was 15, 20 seconds from the time you went in the doghouse, and I never even saw the green on that one. I said, but now that I understand the process, no problem. So if I honestly thought I was competing to go to Loretta's, I probably would have been a lot more heated. But it was still...
You were close.
But... I was okay. I wasn't going to lose my temper over it. It wasn't worth it. Okay. So
I know. You're nice. You're a nice guy.
Maybe I was being too nice, but
have you ever raced where a light system like that? I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of
somewhere I've been
to.
But at a regional?
Not that I can remember at a regional. I mean you'll find them. They're just not that common.
You got to let people know that you didn't go like watch some starts or anything.
I watched one or two, but I didn't realize they were doing it off the light. I wasn't paying enough attention.
You never saw one that was like, hey, he hold that really long time.
Just the one before us with Shorty.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anywhere near as long as mine. We'll ask Andrew about it. But,
okay.
It wasn't anywhere near as long as our gate. And I just thought, well, that's weird. And then I didn't expect it to happen twice as long or 3 times as long.
Yeah.
So no Loretta's for me, unfortunately. It is what it is, but I had a blast. I do want to give a shout out to Dave, the owner of Thunder Valley, Ben LeMay, and the whole track crew. The place was amazing. A little different than National Prep.
A little different, most likely.
But the place was a lot of fun. It's where we're going to race, or we're going to go ride for the Pulp Ride Day in a month or so, or 2 months. And it's cool. My only negative for me was the triple step up, kind of at the upper part of the track, not at the very high, but like when, there's 2 triple step ups right now, like one coming out of the bottom and the one at the upper. I never jumped it, and it's so easy. Like I had to slow down to double and not just case the shit out of it, but I just was never willing to pull the trigger.
Never got comfortable.
It was in my head. It was just in my head. And like what would happen is in the race, the first lap, it was really congested. So I was like, well, I'm not jumping it now. And then I was getting arm pumped really bad. I've been getting arm pumped quite a bit for the last year, but I can get rid of it after about a 15-minute warm up. So a practice. But at a regional, you don't get a practice. You race, and then like 5 hours later, you race again. So I had pretty bad arm pump.
You never got one practice?
No, they don't do a practice. You do a practice on Friday.
Oh, on Friday.
And then you get a sight lap, basically like a sight lap on Saturday, Sunday, whatever. I think Saturday we did get a quick little practice. I can't remember, but it wasn't enough to get rid of arm pump no matter what. So I wasn't ever willing to jump that thing without arm pump. And actually, the guy I battled with in Moto 1 did attempt it in Moto 2, or he over jumped the double. I don't know, but he hit it, cased it, and then whiskeyed off of it and ate shit. So I was like, that's why I didn't really want to jump it.
And there's my clue.
My reason.
Yeah. Well, I know we are about to move on.
We're good. We got 2 or 3 minutes. So
one question I wanted to ask you is was this race out of all the one, it's been some of them haven't gone as well as you wanted, and some of them kind of had issues and stuff. And I know you were kind of not as prepared as you wanted to be at the beginning of all this because you were still kind of dealing with some injuries and not being as great a shape as you had been at one point. But was this ride that was that the best one that you've had? Do you feel the best? Yeah. Well, so far, maybe even the best race so far you've had this season.
No, because like when I raced locally at Athens, that was probably the best I've been riding. But of the qualifiers, the Lakewood ride was my best ride. I was getting better and I was getting more confident. Like my ride at Fox was embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. But we got our first guest of the night on. We'll get back to my qualifier and all that, my failures and all that after this. Andy Gregg and the Guts Racing crew continue to provide the best seats and foam available. If you want the same seats used by Rockstar, Husqvarna, Hep Suzuki, and many more, then you need Guts Racing. They have numerous color possibilities, staple or Velcro installation options, wing seats, and the best foam in the business with the Phantom Ultralight Seat Foam. Don't forget they have complete seats for the Talaria and the Super 73 and covers for the Sur-Ron and Segway. They strive to ship orders within 36 hours, so visit gutsracing.com and let them know the MotoXpod show sent you. Tonight, Guts Racing brings us from Star Racing Yamaha, Max Anstie. What's up, Max?
Hello, Darkside. How's it all going? I'm doing well.
I'm glad you're doing well, man. We are really excited to talk to you. I've got a couple of my friends in studio with me, but let's just get right to it, man. You've been on the Star bike a little bit now. How do you like the new bike? Let's just get right to that.
Well, I mean, it's no surprise. Obviously, it's very, very impressive. It's not just the bike. It's the whole package. With just each person and each member of the team is very much at such a high level to want to win. And I know that kind of sounds cliche, but just they can do so much to the bike. And I mean, you can get yourself lost in testing for sure.
Oh yeah.
But like, you know, there's a lot of, there's so much you can do. And no, the bike is very impressive. The whole crew is very impressive. And I'm really, happy and it's awesome to be around a group of guys and a crew that can push and test and develop as much as I want to and work with. And yeah, it's only been a few weeks. I've only been on the program with Swanee and training with the guys for a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's no surprise. Obviously it's impressive, but it's, I've been around a long time, been on a lot of teams. And even for me, I'm like, wow, these guys are doing the right things. That's for sure.
Yeah, you just said that you can get lost in testing, and no disrespect from your former team with Firepower and Yariv and everybody, but yeah, they have. You just said right. Star Yamaha has more options. So, what is the number one thing, if there is a number one thing, that you wanted to test to make the bike better or to feel more comfortable that you now have that option at Star?
Well, I mean, this is not the number one thing, of course, but it just brings me to a random point that yesterday we were out riding and I was dragging my clutch lever in like the inside mound of a turn. So like it was kind of like pulling my clutch lever in as I was going around the turn. I didn't even think about it, but then they turn around and go, oh, well, yeah, we've got a shorter clutch lever if you really want it. But for that kind of thing, like it's just things that you don't even think about that they have to be able to, to be able to go and do just those type of things. I think for me, just jumping on the bike and now how the whole situation's worked out with Firepower and the crew, I'm extremely grateful for Yariv and the guys. We had a great Supercross season and I was supposed to continue to race Australia and World Supercross. But we basically had a heart-to-heart and had a chat about it all. And it was just like, for me, I'm the World Supercross champion. I've achieved that in the 250 class. I've achieved the Australian Championship twice. And for me, I want to go all in to do the best job that I possibly can with Star Racing. And that means outdoors and Supercross. And for me, I'm a little older. I've been around a while. I know that these opportunities don't come often. And I've been waiting my whole career for this. And I was lucky and thankful to Yariv and the crew that they understood that and they said, look, Max, you can basically go ahead and start on Star and now I'm gonna race the rest of the outdoor championship and SMX, and it's mainly just I'm starting 6 months earlier than what I was supposed to so I can get this testing and prep and work done for next year so that whether I line up at Anaheim 1 or East Coast, whatever it is, and when I line up at Pala, it's not my first go round with the team. It's not my first national. It's not my first race. We know how to communicate. We know how to all work with each other. And I'm a little bit ahead of the game instead of, jumping on a new bike and not knowing where I'm going to be at, coming into the first race. So for me, it's an exciting, next few months. And I'm looking forward to getting the ball rolling and this whole process is just going to be an aid and a help going into next season.
Perfect.
Yeah, Max, it's exciting to see you have the opportunity that you have, and I know that you were talking about your experience with the team so far, and I always like hearing Bobby Reagan stories and what, kind of what your relationship has been like with him and kind of a little bit more on that side of things as far as signing, how that story went.
Well, to be honest, I haven't spoken to him very much. So it was one of those where Brad reached out during Supercross and said, "Are you interested?" And I was like, "Oh, yep, obviously." And then all of a sudden, I was actually at the chiropractor randomly, and I was supposed to be going home to have dinner, and Brad texted me saying, "Bobby's expecting you to come to the farm right now to sign a deal." And I was like, okay, all right. Well, we haven't spoke about anything yet. So anyway, I ended up showing up at the farm and figuring it out and talking it all through. And yeah, of course, when an opportunity like that comes up, it's something that, like I said, I've been around a long time and been trying to get to be back on a factory team and with a group of guys that, I think will complement me, and hopefully I will then with the bike and the results. And I feel like, when an opportunity like that comes around, especially in this 250 class, I grabbed hold of it with both hands. And for us, it's easy. We don't have to move. We already lived in Cairo. It's a pretty seamless transition. So it's, it just made sense. So no, it's been very smooth and very easy so far. So far so good.
Yeah, and then just like percentage pie, like how are you? How prepared are you for this race? With comfortability with the bike and your physical training. Like, are we 99, 100%? Are we that close, or how do we feel?
It's a tough one because I haven't actually raced a 250 in outdoors, like in a proper championship, like actually properly since 2016. That was my last year in GPs, on my last year on 250s in GPs before I aged out over there at 23. So, so I haven't raced an American outdoor on a 250 since 2010. So it's basically like it's a whole long time. So, so for me, it's kind of a tricky one to know. I mean, again, I'm with Star. I'm training with Hayden. I'm training with Jordan Smith. I'm training with Daxton Bennett. I'm training with the guys with Justin Cooper. I'm training with them now every day, pretty much for the last 2 weeks. So I know that the bike is obviously at such a high level. The base is good, but of course, racing outdoors is different. It's hot. So it's a tricky one to say. I feel good, but again, as far as it goes, like being super sharp and like, I feel the best that I've ever felt. It's one of those where I don't think anyone does. I mean, we come off for 2 weeks. You come off Supercross, and then 2 weeks they're going into outdoors. Okay, they've got a few rounds to get going now. But I've had a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks of good riding outdoors. I did a couple of weeks of Supercross before that, just to get a base on that. And yeah, no, I've had enough time on the bike. I think it's at a point now where I need to go racing just to fine tune things and see and learn the team, learn my mechanic, learn everything, so that if I make mistakes or I go the wrong direction with a direction with suspension or whatever it is, or gearing or whatever, it doesn't necessarily, I'm not in the championship this year. It's more about finding those things out, getting the notes for next year, so that I can come back to these tracks and go, all right, this worked last year, this didn't work, this is where we're going to start. So for me, it's about that right now. And I feel good, but you never know until you get out there and go racing. I've been around long enough to know that you can say that you have the best off season or the best, you're feeling the best ever, and then you go racing and it sucks. It's one of those where
Sure.
we're going to find out, and we're going to find out in a few days.
Yeah, well, there may or may not be just a little bit of hype about your Southwick return, so we'll see. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, so Doc Smith, privateered, raced Supercross this last year. I know y'all were, when you were on Firepower, you were out at MTF, and they have their whole training program and stuff like that. But now going over to Star, what's the differences training Star side versus, of course, they're not MTF, but training there versus MTF?
Well, with I mean, obviously it's just the riders that you're around. I'm getting to be around guys with a red plate, with like Hayden and being around Deegan, being around super fast, all the other 250 riders that they've got, and then obviously the whole 450 crew. It's just very, very professional, and all the guys are there for one reason, and that's to perform the best that they can perform. And it's very, very full on. So again, I expected that, and I knew that anyway. And I've trained with, when I was on Factory Husky in Europe and things like that. I've been around and in situations like that before. But that's I guess the difference from the MTF side to Star is just to get results in the pros, just to get results at an outdoor national or Supercross and SMX. MTF run a fantastic program, but their focus is Loretta's and the young kids. So I guess that's the main difference. But it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it, and it's a lot of work. But I'm again, that's what I'm here to do. I want to put myself in a position where I can go and perform and fight for championships.
Yeah, and I think that you've done that. It's really great that you're getting this opportunity. And I was thinking about something. You made a comment a little bit ago about how you live in Cairo, so it's nice, right? You didn't have to move. It works out well. I was just thinking how funny it would have been if you had switched teams and had to move back to the West Coast, just as Lewis Phillips moves to the East Coast.
Yeah, no, he'd have probably stayed there then.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
No, but it's crazy. Like a lot of the teams now, like they are all. I mean, at least like even you can see now with Levi Kitchen, like PC was always a thing where you had to be in California, but he's obviously had great success this year and being based out of Sandbox, and pretty much all the teams and most guys have the option to kind of be where they need to be. Of course, if your team is based in California, you've got to go there for testing. But yeah, it's weird. It seems like more and more over these last few years since I've been in the States, like it seems like the East Coast is definitely the place to be, either for outdoors or for the majority of Supercross, just to kind of get work done, I guess, rather than being in the rush and the busyness of California. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the way that it seems to be going recently.
I think I've had a chance to ride like Glen Helen and Fox and some of those other West Coast tracks recently, and I don't feel like those tracks compare to 90% of the rest of the tracks in the country. So it's probably a lot better to be training on the East Coast anyway.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems like that's the idea that most people are thinking.
I have a vital question here from one of our listeners, Faith. She wanted to know, and you talked about the Yamaha a little bit, but just how comfortable, how much of a change was it going from the Honda to the Yamaha? Was there a couple things that really stand out for you?
I guess I started on Supercross, so that was, I can't really compare to outdoors because outdoors, I have no base feeling. But I suppose on Supercross, the Honda was a very short bike, as in the gears and everything were pretty short. The window to be precise was much smaller. It feels like the way that they have the Yamaha set up, it's very rideable. Like it's as in it's easy to push and yeah, like the window seems a little bit bigger to be in that comfort zone. So again, it's one of those where I'm riding at the test track. It's you don't really know until you go racing. But of course, the guys at Star, the whole facility, they have they have so many riders, so they have so much information, so much knowledge, but also they're getting so much work done with testing and development. You're always progressing. Like even the few weeks that I've been here, I've tested like 3 or 4 different sets of suspension because it's like, oh, this is the new stuff, this is the new setup, this is the new, and it's not crazy different. It's just like a few little steps here and there. So I think I think just getting comfortable in the rideability, it honestly took me a couple of days, and I feel like I was happy. I was good to go. And I think that is just a testament to obviously how much work they've done. It's not like I was starting from zero. You know, even the first day they gave me the suspension, they're like, oh yeah, this is the base, but it's still, you know, had so many riders go through it all to get to this level. It's already at such a high level. So it's not like I was searching or you know, crazy off straight away. We were in the ballpark, you know, pretty much right away. And that's what you get with a team and a crew like this that you know, are, it sounds cliche, but they're all in. You know, each one of the people there are all in. It's really hard to explain because it just sounds like, oh yeah, I know what that means. You know, and everyone knows, you know, firepower. They were like, everyone was good. Everyone thinks that they're all in. They all think they're all in, but they're not. When you really look at it, like these guys currently that I've been around in the last few weeks, I'm very impressed and very honored to be a part of it, because they are all, and it goes down to the riders too. Like Hayden, straight up, you know, like he's there early doing starts. He's really putting in the work. The boys, everyone there, whether Cooper Webb shows up for a little bit, like they're, you know, giving his pointers and this and that and the other. It's, everyone is all in, and that's the only way I can explain it. It's a very nice atmosphere to be around, and one that, you know, I've been wanting to be a part of for a little while now.
Oh, I'm excited for you, man. Max Anstie brought to you tonight by Guts Racing. This is, if I believe I heard Lewis say this on the LVK show, that it's a multi-year deal, but it's 3 years. Is that correct?
Well, it's now this year, so just a few races this year.
Okay,
the rest of outdoors and
okay.
Yeah, well, the rest of outdoors now and SMX, and then it'll be 2025 and 26.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clear up. I wasn't 100% sure how that worked. But yeah, so getting an early start though, that's a really good thing. So I want to clear that up. So I appreciate that. Yeah, go ahead, Scotty. Sorry.
Yes, Max, we have a listener question. Austin Justice paid $4.99. Says, has Jensen talked to Max about team orders when it comes to racing Hayden, since he has the red plate and is Star's only championship hopeful?
No, I mean, no, but it is in the contract. But no, I mean, at the end of the day, I've been around Hayden a little bit the last few weeks. I'm not silly. Like I'm also not, like, I'm not going there to do anything crazy or do anything stupid. Like, you don't even really need to have to. It's not like they need to say to me, don't clean Hayden Deegan out because, you know, he's leading the championship. I obviously know that. Like, I'm not, it's not my first time. And at the end of the day, I'm not in the championship. I'm there to learn and do the best job that I can do. And yeah, if I can be up near the front, fantastic. But, and of course, yeah, like if it comes down to it later in the year, like that, I mean, he's not going to need it so far. He's already 30 points in front. He'll wrap it up by 2 rounds to go or something. Yeah. So it won't come to that. But I'm sure if it did, you know, that it is what it is. I've been in situations like that before too on different teams. But no, it's not. The reason I'm racing outdoors is not for that. I mean, they don't need me for that. He's obviously already doing his job and doing a great job at it. So no, I'm there to race and race as hard as I can, but I'm not going to do anything silly. But I'm also not going to do anything silly to anyone else. Like I'm just a respectful racer anyway. But yeah, I'm not there to, yeah, obviously take us both out or do something crazy. And that's. I've been around long enough that I know kind of where the limit is with stuff like that.
Yeah. You're gonna break Vital with the contract talk, with it's being in the contract to not hit Hayden.
No. I mean, it's in a lot of contracts. I have had it in contracts before that you have team, or if it comes down to it, it's team orders. It's not about one rider.
It'd be the same for
someone
you.
Who's in the championship. Yeah, like but it also can work the other way, you know. Like if you're leading the championship, it's only like, I don't even really know how it reads, but I've had it in multiple contracts across the board in Europe, in CPs, in the US. It's a very common thing that that is, if it comes down to it and it's super tight and you can obviously help your team out because it is still a team, then yeah, you would obviously do that. But fuck, I mean, it goes both ways with that. It's it's definitely not just oh wow, this is the first time thing. I've seen it quite a lot in a lot of my contracts. So yeah.
Yeah, you've mentioned your teammates a couple times, and actually Daxton Bennett sent me a text a little while ago. He said, hey, I'm happy to have Max. He's a mature guy, and I feel like I can learn a lot from him, and he's also a positive guy, so it's going to be fun the rest of the outdoors. So yeah, Dax is looking forward to having you as a team. I haven't really talked to any of the other guys yet, but how is the vibe with the other? I mean, you and Hayden, you battled each other, right? As it wouldn't really matter if you were a teammate or not during Supercross, you were battling, but how has the vibe been? Yeah. Coop was back yesterday, I think, probably today a little bit. How's that been?
Yeah, very, very good. Like I said, like it's just the crew are all in, like all of them, and Dax and we went to Southwick last week, so I got to ride with Dax and Hayden up there, and yeah, like it's everyone's been good. We've been in the gym and cycling and things like that together. It's weird because from the outside looking in, when I was on Firepower, I thought, I don't know how I would like that. Like, I don't know how
right.
that would kind of be, but honestly, maybe I'm biased now because I'm in it, but honestly, right now, it's been very positive, like, of course, everyone is going to race each other, but there's everyone's also kind of, I wouldn't say helping each other out, but if you do better or find something out, it helps the team. It's a whole collective, and obviously everyone is pushing, and some days we go to the tracks and Dax is absolutely ripping, and the next time it's Jordan Smith, or the next day it's good because each day you get to ride with the best guys, and if you can get relaxed at doing that, then I think that really helps when you go to the race. And kind of when I was on Firepower and I would just show up to ride with Start every now and again, it would feel like such a big deal because it was like, I better be good today. Whereas now I'm doing it all the time. You kind of, for the last couple of weeks, you kind of get a little bit more relaxed. And say you don't feel perfect one day, you're like, oh, my speed was still good, whatever. Like it's been a good group of people, and the guys have been very good. And like I said, I've got nothing bad to say about anyone. Even like they're all working very hard and deserve what they've got and their success. So no, it's a good group of guys. Can't say anything bad about any of them so far.
That's good. You just mentioned riding at Southwick, which obviously I think that's a pretty big benefit, right? To go there and really maybe get a little testing in and get comfortable and see what settings you like. Last time you were at Southwick, exactly. I think was 22 on a 450 where you got a 6th. How different does it feel on a 250? Was it massively different, or does it still feel kind of the same idea? Keep your flow and keep your momentum.
Well, I think this bike's probably faster than that 450 that I rode.
Okay.
Facts.
So I think it's fine.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about that. It was, okay. I thought they put the 450 engine in when I went there, but geez.
That's hilarious. All right, just a few more questions for you.
Yeah, Max. So we've talked about the change to Star and the opportunity and how it's all come about and how the younger guys are looking up to you. And I really just wanted to say, it's you've had it's kind of a renaissance, however people want to say it, a movement for you now at this point in your career to have this opportunity. I've watched you since you were 16 at Lake Whitney, and when the next big thing, and the career has gone ups and downs and had goods and bads, and to see it culminate to this is really cool to see, man. Congratulations to you. How does it feel at the end of the day where you're like, okay, I've gotten every opportunity that I've ever wanted?
I know it's incredible. Even today I was driving back and you drive into the farm and you see Ricky Carmichael's water truck with a big number 4 on there, and you've got the 2 Supercross tracks, the outdoor track, the gyms, the facility, the workshop with the 50,000 bikes in there and all the parts and the crew. It's one of those where you think back to, I don't know, I was driving out and I'm thinking back to when I was 6-7 years old, and you think, how how am I here? You know, like it's incredible. And I think being a little older, you really do feel more grateful in you know, for those things that you kind of take in the moment a little bit more. When you're young, it's just you're rushing to the next place and going as fast as you can. But for me, yeah, this opportunity is something that I don't know. Many people told me that I'd never get this opportunity. You know, even when I was 28, it was like, oh, you're too old. Well, look, here I am. You can never say never, and I think everyone's on their own different timeline. And weirdly enough, you know, I feel the best that I've ever felt in my career with my body and experience, and I just feel ready to go and perform and do the best that I can do. And now I've got a crew that is able to, in outdoors, Supercross, SMX, you know, in the US, to provide me with a chance to go and fight for a championship. And yeah, it's incredible. It's definitely something that I'm I don't know. Got to pinch yourself sometimes, but yeah, it's great. I'm going to grab it with both hands though, and do everything I possibly can to be the best that I can be and be the person that I believe in my head that I can be. So now I've got the bike and the team to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you were talking on the age side of things, so you're getting up there in age and stuff like that. Are you looking at this this deal, like you said, you're going all the way through 2026 with this? Are you looking at as this like it's a stepping stone to possibly get onto a 450 team, or are you looking at this as something that I guess we'll just find out later what you want to do?
Well, no, I mean, at the end of the day, like the whole idea of me racing a 250 in Supercross was that I raced 8 or 9 years of GPs and didn't have that Supercross experience. And yeah, so on outdoors, yeah, I raced a 450 in GPs, had great success. Came to the States, raced a few 450 rounds with Suzuki and then a few with Rocky Mountain. And you know, it's obviously the 450 class is gnarly. There's no getting around it. But I feel like you have to check the boxes of, you know, learning Supercross and learning the skills, the racecraft, the obstacles. You know, every great champion has gone through and won the 250 class. So for me, when I got the opportunity to ride a 250 again, it was like, okay, right now this is going to give me the chance with, you know, half the coast, because half the class, because East Coast and West Coast and whatever, to be able to really focus on perfecting my craft and perfecting my skills and then being able to fight for wins, which we achieved, and that was fantastic. And you know, there were still things last year. I'd go to the track when there was dragons backs and longer sets of whoops. I walked the track at a few rounds and was thinking, like, I've never seen this obstacle before. I don't actually know how to do it. Like, it, even though I'm older, I was still inexperienced with Supercross. Because it's not like I've been doing Supercross this whole time. I've spent years doing GPs. So for me, you know, being able to perfect that and go through that, the goal is I want to win a championship. I want to win Supercross championship, and yeah, obviously now racing outdoors, I want to go and win the outdoor championship. And if that all, you know, lines up and I can be what I think I can be, and I'm on the team now to do that, then yeah, of course I'll go 450 after that and you know, go back full time, you know, into that. For me, I've raced the 450 class, so there's no, and I've spent a lot of time on 450, so it's not like I'm sat here going, oh, I have to ride a 450, you know, next year or the year after. You know, it's not. No, I feel good in my body. I feel the best that I've ever felt. I have to check the boxes of I want to win the 250 class and be competitive in a championship. You know, then you're ready to make that next step. And I think that's just the progression that I kind of needed to go through or need to go through to get there. So yeah, that's kind of my thought process with it at the moment. And again, it's one step at a time and one thing that's in front of me. And right now it's 250s full time.
All right, let's do 2 fan questions and we'll let you go. This one is from Vital. Spoon Guy on Vital says, ask Max, and I'm sure you've been asked this before, if he misses Great Britain, and what's your favorite thing about the USA?
I mean, of course, I miss the UK. I miss mainly people, you know, like family and friends. It's it's tough. Like my wife and I, we moved over here and we've got a little guy now, and just, you know, experiencing things with him is fantastic. But, you know, I would like to see my buddies and my family and friends more, because, you know, having a little guy as well, the kind of, you're going through things and you're like, oh, wow, you love it. You see him do this and that. So on that side of things, yes. But on the other side of that is I feel like I'm right where I'm meant to be. Like I love the US. I love obviously Supercross. I love racing over here, and it's something that I've always dreamed of, you know, from when I was 6 or 7 or 8 years old. So for me, it's just, yeah, like I want to be in the US forever. Like I love it here. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I miss the friends and stuff, but yeah, the US for me is home and home now, and yeah, I love it.
It's good to hear. All right, last one. This is from your number one fan, and I'm in love with you, from Lewis Phillips. I might have added some of that. That might be me.
Hashtag roomies. Yeah.
No, Lewis says, ask Max what our cultural currency is. Is this an inside joke?
I can't even remember it. I'm tired. I've been riding. He's got this new quote. Hold on. Let me think.
Okay.
I can't remember it. I can't remember it.
That's okay.
Lewis, I'm sure he can hear me somewhere. Lewis, just text me what it is, and then I'll say it.
He's listening. Yeah, he's listening. So I'm sure, but he's probably a little. There's probably a little delay in the video that he's watching.
Well, okay, so let me give you the rundown on this. So he has been driving from California to Florida for the last 3 days, or however. He's been driving like however long it's been each day, which has been a long time. And he's had a long time to think. So he's came up with this new quote. Authenticity. No, and he hasn't texted me this. I've just literally remembered this.
Okay.
Authenticity is your cultural currency.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's it. Authenticity. Right. I got you to text me that now, please.
Max, Millie needs to find him a boyfriend or girlfriend. Whoa. Or either one. Whatever works.
News drop.
Yeah, whatever works.
Oh man.
Oh, he won't like that.
No, he won't.
Brutal.
No, Lewis likes girls. Let's get.
He says he's retired. He's retired from any. We tried. I've got him on. Tried him on Tinder and all that stuff. But he's retired. He says that he's too focused. He's all in on. You know, you think the star guys are all in on their training. Geez, Lewis is all in on that journalism.
Yeah. Hey, if those guys could focus on their racing the way Lewis focuses on his journalism, they'd be champions every time. Every one of them.
So exactly. So yeah, his quote is: "Authenticity is the key to cultural currency," or something. Fuck, I don't know. I messed it up. But anyway, something like that. He's basically saying that who you are matters more than like who you are or how nice you are to people or how you. I don't know. You have to ask him. I don't know. It's above me. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I've had a long day riding and training. My brain's fried from it all.
Yeah. Well, it's fine. It's been entertaining. We've got a lot of laughs, and I appreciate you giving us some of your time. Tonight.
No problem, guys.
Yeah. Well,
no worries, guys. I appreciate it, and thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck this weekend. We'll all be watching from home, but Lewis will be there cheering you on. So, yeah, good luck, man.
Cheers. Thank you very much, right. You guys.
Cheers.
Max.
Appreciate it. Bye, mate. Bye.
Max Anstie, brought to you tonight by Guts Racing. Great guest. Great interview.
He just broke the chat with saying
Oh, really? With which one?
With the saying Lewis.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry about that, Lewis. If he likes girls, man. He likes girls. But he will say, I can't be bothered. He's too busy with work. But Lewis needs a distraction. Lewis needs a distraction. Good stuff from Max. Let's get into the X Brand Forum check-in because we've got about 10 or 15 minutes before we got to get Andrew and Hudson Short on. X-Brand is your choice for clear vision and a leader in motocross and off-road goggles. X-Brand is used by many of the top GNCC riders, including the 2023 XC1 champion Craig DeLong, the National Hare and Hound XC1 champion Dalton Shurry, the AMA National Enduro champion Grant Baylor. Lyndon Snodgrass uses them, as well as Supercross, Arena Cross, and motocross riders like Kyle Chisholm, Freddie Noren, Henry Miller, Michael Hicks, Richard Taylor, Jerry Robin. Doc, you still in them?
I'm still in them.
Doc Smith, and many more. Visit EKSbrand.com or go to your local dealership. Don't forget the goggles that Hunter Lawrence won a championship in. They're Lucids. They may say Alpine Stars, but they're Lucids. Good.
But before we get into all the check-ins,
Yeah.
The chat wanted to ask, Dog, has your dad? Why does your dad hate normal dirt bikes?
I think he's just scared.
He's scared. He's just
it's so much easier to ride the electric ones that he's just being a puss.
Dude, he's so proud of that bike. It's cool. That bike is
so much. It's a lot of fun to ride.
That's cool. We like I was telling you before the show that we went to a local race and there was one of the pro guys that rode it, and like seeing that guy ride that bike really fast and like throwing whips and stuff. Your dad was like a kid. It, like just got like ice cream after school. Like he was so excited to see somebody shredding on it. So
yeah, I've never even ridden it on an actual moto track yet.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you ride it. It looks like you have fun on it, but yeah.
But it's also that TJ just likes to be different. Like if there was a motorcycle that was powered by a hamster, he'd be like, "Oh, that's the coolest thing ever."
It's what will get him noticed. That's the biggest.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
the secrets have been told.
Why do you think he started? Like, it was part of this podcast. He wanted to be noticed.
See, I never thought of him as that way. I just think, but when it comes to things he likes, if it's popular,
he's gonna go to the opposite.
He doesn't like it.
Yeah,
even if it's better.
And I'm guilty of being that way too. Like I don't watch a show until it's done and like there's no hype about it. Then I'll watch that show. Like yeah.
All right. I feel like I was about to sneeze, but I'm gonna try to read this anyway. The X-Brand form check-in is actually by Michael Lindsay. Didn't realize it was his when I clicked on it, but I like the idea. Things in moto that just go together. He said, I was washing bikes on Saturday and this thought came to mind as I was staring at our KX450 with a pro circuit pipe on it. Some things in moto just go together. What comes to your mind that fits that bill? And SoCal MX70 said Suzuki 2-strokes and Bill's pipes. Crossup says Nobbies. Stewie94 says twin dual exhaust on Hondas. R-Bot says the FMF logo sticker that goes over the Ford emblem on So those are some ideas.
That's a good one.
So I want to see what you guys thought. I'll give you a second to think about it. The things that came to my mind were, first of all, friends. Like friends, family, man. It's just, that's what it really all comes down to. This weekend at Thunder Valley, we parked with Corey, who is the one that bought my Pony Pod YZ250 bike, and his group of friends, and they welcomed us in, and it was just, for me, it was all new people. Michael Gage knew them already. So friends is a big one. For me, also, temper tantrums when things go bad. I've thrown a number of temper tantrums at the tracks or on rides throughout my life. So stories, just like what we're doing right here, telling stories about going racing. Oh man, our buddy Chase, right? Chase Moore. He's like, dude, I was throwing this whip over this jump. No, you weren't, man. You slid your butt. He does actually do a little bit.
Chase can get a little scrubby dubbies out there.
But we all exaggerate.
Oh yeah,
right. We all exaggerate, and I was ripping through the section, and you go back and watch it, like, yeah, bro, like, oh, sure you were. But so stories, injuries. And I also put FMF. Those were the things that just came to my mind immediately.
Yeah.
What about you, Doc?
First off, just fun. For me, with how I've done it, with pretty much dedicating a significant part of my life to it, dedication comes to it because you have to be dedicated if you want to be good on a dirt bike. There's no just doing nothing and then going and being fast on a dirt bike. You have to dedicate your life to it to an extent. Just fun, dedication, and then powder coating. As a lot of people powder coat a lot of their bikes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the main things that come to your mind.
That's what I can think of right now.
That's good.
On the surface level things like box fan and stickers.
Oh, that's a good one. Box, yeah.
Like
stickers.
Like your back of your trailer, like you can tell that you started like. Yeah, you may never get all the way full, but you tell that you started like trying to get it full.
Yeah,
like I always,
My toolbox is heavy. Yeah, that's a big one. Sure.
Stickers and vehicles and bikes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then as far as like how I feel about riding, just like a mental release, mental health almost. Like I've noticed that when those couple years that when I can't ride, I pick up other habits like drinking or other stuff like that more. I'm being serious. I mean, dead honest. Like,
I hear you.
I like it's a release. Like ever since I've started riding again, I feel more focused and like motivated to do things during the week that help, that get me back to the track on the weekend. It's just, so I would say like mental health and riding is a big part for me.
And I think like ML's point he mentioned, right? Looking at the pro circuit and it just sort of goes with the Kawi.
Yeah. I know we kind of took it
so
more.
and that's fine. Like, I did the same thing too. But when I think of like products like that, I go back, thank you FXR for being a part of the show, but I go JT, like was early. I think my very first pair of moto gloves were JT, Fox, FMF's a big one that's been around forever.
I think of Pro Circuit Kawasaki's
the Suzuki S from back in the day, the little not graffiti, whatever that thing's called with the block S. Mm-hmm. A lot of logos stand out to me from history, even maybe the 90s. No Fear. For me, like Ricky Johnson, that's the one that sticks out as just something that goes with moto. Obviously, he's a champion, but for some reason, Rick Johnson's a name that just stands out.
And another one is I'm not even like big in on this, but energy drinks like Rockstar Monster and all that, they do seem like they're kind of synonymous with moto now. I mean,
now for sure.
I know it just seems like you think energy drink, you think moto.
Yeah. Back in the
not
day,
my
Camel.
favorite. Yeah.
I wouldn't lie for that. I wouldn't lie
you
for
weren't.
that.
No.
Yeah. Good times,
but that's
man.
a good topic, man. I think ML, that was a good one that he put up on Vitals. So if you guys aren't on Vital, you should be. Don't forget about the Vital MX fantasy game. It's a lot of fun. Get in there this week. It's free, and you could get your picks in for Southwick and maybe win a prize. All right, let's do the Barnett clutch performance of the week. With 75 years of experience behind them, Barnett Dirt Digger clutch kits feature friction materials exclusive to Barnett for maximum performance and durability. Get 10% off with promo code VitalMX, that's all caps, at barnettclutches.com, and feel the Barnett difference. Again, no races this weekend. Maybe you guys don't have a Barnett clutch performance of the week. I'm not sure. For me, I'm going to give it to my buddy Michael Dean Gage. He has been on the show a couple times over the years. He's my closest friend. He's a local Texas A rider. He went to Thunder Valley with me on his YZ 252 stroke. He won the 45 class, 111.
Oh, really?
And in the 50-plus class, he went 222 behind Emig.
Yeah.
Emig dominated that, but he went up there and crushed it. He's going to the ranch again, 2 tickets. So I'm going to give it to him. Yeah, that's my Barnett clutch performance of the week.
What did he? I forgot to ask you that earlier. What did he think about the start?
Oh yeah, he thought it was ridiculous. The smoke that you see in the video is him sitting. He was 2 bikes down, and it was just coming off his bike.
He wasn't going to let off though.
No, he actually got really. I think he might have whole shotted that one even on the 2 strokes, dude. So the second start, I was a little bit behind him, and he pulled me up the hill. The third start, he got the gate better, but I passed him at the very top. But then once we got to the corner, he just ripped right by me on the inside.
Yeah.
Dude can ride.
This may sound really dumb, but is there any difference in power advantage, disadvantage when it comes to elevation between 2 and 4 strokes? Is it affecting the same? Does it affect one more?
I would think it would affect the 2 strokes quite a bit more because they're carbureted.
So he's just
you have to tune them and everything. So
that's a good point. He'll shred.
I have one.
You could give him a weed eater motor in a bicycle and he would still shred. Like he can ride anything.
No doubt. No doubt. Go ahead.
I have a buddy out of Houston named Kobe Gildstorf. He didn't train all year long. He did an area down in Houston, went out to Colorado and qualified in 250B. So I just wanted to say good job to him. That's insane to go out with no real training summer.
Good for him.
And go qualify for Lotus.
Scotty, do you have one? If you don't, that's fine.
Well, I'll give it to our to your buddy Steve. I know you were gone this weekend, but he let us come out and ride.
Steve Williamson.
Yeah, he let us come out and ride and got the track prep for us, and always was there and got to talk to us. So I always appreciate him doing that. So that's
it was hot, so he was soaking up some water on that track.
Yeah, clutch performance for him doing all that just so we could ride. So perfect.
All right, let's get to our next guest of the night. There's 2 of them. They're both going to be brought to you tonight. First of all, I'm going to give them, even though FXR is our sponsor and FXR is bringing them in, these 2 guests wear Fly Racing, and we also love Fly Racing. But FXR is designed by racers for racers. With industry-leading fit, finish, and performance, progression is the name of the game with every new piece created. At FXR, we push our brand to the next level to provide you with the best products possible, used by the Muck Off FXR Club MX Yamaha team, Mike Brown, Brock Tickle, Chris Kiefer, Benny Bloss, and many more. FXR has core moto roots, so visit fxrracing.com or go to your local dealership to see the complete lineup of FXR gear. Tonight, FXR brings us Andrew Short and his son Hudson. We're going to talk to Andrew first. What's up, Andrew?
Hanging out. Had a good day of riding. Did some trail riding up here in Colorado. And so, yeah. Afterwards, we went and saw Matt Byton.
Yeah, I heard that.
And checked on him. So, yeah, overall, good day.
Yeah, well, let's get into that just for a second. We've talked about Matt. I got a text from his buddy Kevin that's at the hospital with him. He said you came by. He said that Matt, I just got this message a few minutes ago, so I haven't even updated our listeners, that he's actually doing pretty good today. He's in better spirits, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think they just had him up before we got there. He was really stoked on that. He said he felt a lot better. So I think it's going to be a long road, but, as a racer, you have to have that mentality to keep pushing. And I think he has that athlete mentality. So I know he's not going to settle. And I think it's day by day at this point. But it was cool to see him and his spirits. And I know he seemed like, he was trying and doing his best.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you just said you rode today. So you didn't get enough riding over the last 3 days of the weekend, Friday through Sunday, with all the motos you did?
Yeah, well, we went trail riding. That's even better. So, yeah, it was fun. We went to Rampart Range. It's not like super awesome trail riding, but it's pretty cool for being on the front range here in Colorado. There's a cool single track that runs through there, Trail 770, and me and Hudson did that, and it was fun. Pretty hot out, though.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, you notice the difference when you're at that elevation. I said Friday to Michael Gage, I was like, dude, it just feels like the sun's so much closer. And he's like, well, yeah, it is. So you definitely feel it. But if there's a few things I want to get into with you tonight. You've been doing a bunch of the Loretta's areas and regionals. Well, I asked you this weekend if you were still going, because for those that don't know, your son Hudson was en route to hopefully making it and broke his wrist at the regional at Oak Hill, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he just fractured it, but yeah.
Okay. But are you still, I asked you this weekend, but I want you to answer it again. Are you planning on going anyway, or do you know yet?
Yeah, I think so. I wasn't planning on it, and I really thought Turd would have made it, but it didn't go that way. I said I was kind of 50-50, but I was pretty optimistic with this speed, and we did a lot of areas. So, but when that happened at Oak Hill, it was kind of a bummer for him and for me. But at the same time, I just bought a new bike, or I committed to buying a new bike, and I bought wheels from W, and I feel like I did a lot of things. So we were already coming up to Colorado, so I was really stoked to race. It was weird racing by myself and not with Hudson, because, I've pretty much only been racing motocross just because he's there, and I've done enough of that. But it was kind of fun just to race, and I didn't have to focus on dad life, and especially to be at Thunder Valley. I love that track, and it was a good time. So it was a lot more fun than I expected. I don't ride a lot of motocross, like train that way, I guess. So I feel like if I focused on moto for a few weeks, I would feel a lot better. But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it was good seeing you there.
From what we heard, Andrew, riding by yourself was kind of the theme of the weekend, from what I was told about how much you beat everybody by.
Yeah, I grew up in Colorado, and I know that track, and so I don't know, maybe it's unfair.
That was it, right?
He was crushing it.
Yeah.
The dude still rips. When we get to Hudson, we'll talk. Well, Hudson was giving me advice Friday before practice. He's like, yeah, do this section this way, and he'll probably tell you all this, and do this section this way. And I was like, yeah, that's how your dad's doing it. You've seen me ride, right? He's like, you're fine.
He's your biggest fan.
Well, I'm his biggest fan, man. Hudson's rad. He's a cool kid, and he's got good advice. I just don't know how to implement it just yet. But
oh, come on.
We'll get to him though. But yeah, he was good help for you, and it was a lot of fun seeing you out there. And the reason I asked, we'll kind of shift gears just a little bit, is you had mentioned that you might do Loretta's, but you also want to do some more rally, and you're trying to figure out that setup. So the thing is that you just want to race. It seems like you love being on your motorcycle. You still need that competitive drive, and you still have it running through your blood.
Yeah, no, I love to ride. I really like trail riding. That's what I love to do, and rally is super fun. I don't know if there's much opportunity there, and plus it's super dangerous.
True, very
But
true.
I love that. That's like my favorite thing to do. I wish I could do that, but yeah, I love to ride dirt bikes, and so I've been going to all these Loretta's things. It's a whole different world than when I did it, and especially the youth ones. It's crazy, all the youth classes and divisions, and it's been a wild experience just to observe this and see how it goes. And so yeah, the actual amateur one was quite a bit different this weekend at Thunder Valley.
I agree. So okay, if you go to Loretta's, you got anything for you feel? How do you feel about matching up with Brownie? Because Brownie is a deadly at Loretta's.
Yeah, everyone says that he has to be really good at that track apparently. So I saw him at Mini-O's, and I know he's fast, and I know he's competitive. He's a racer, and there's always somebody that's fast. No matter where you go in the world, and no matter where you go race, there's always somebody fast.
Sure.
You know, whether Mike Brown or somebody you've never heard of, and that's what's fun about racing and being competitive. You know, and lining up like that. So it's just like what I told Hudson. We went to Ohio, and I go, there's going to be kids here that you've never heard of or never seen that are just ripping, you know? And so I think Loretta's is such a unique track. It's a unique race. And if you have that experience racing there, I think that's a tremendous advantage. So I think I'll kind of be on the back foot there. But also if I actually prepared to go race, I think that would definitely help. So I would have a few weeks if I go.
All right. Well, I also got a text today from a Chris Kiefer who says, I appreciate Shorty racing. It makes our class look better, but he should just stick to the junior 25 and pro sport with a laughing emoji, emoji or whatever. So yeah, he doesn't want to get beat by you and Brownie.
Yeah. I think that's the bad part, dude. It's like, do I go, you know, like somebody's going to be mad if I race, but I definitely would like to race probably plus 40 and then the open pro class. I think one class to try to win and one class to kind of get your teeth kicked in and go race actually. So that's my philosophy, but I don't know. We'll see.
You got anything, Scotty?
Oh,
Or you doing chat?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, you and Emmett raced together this weekend a little bit. I didn't see if you guys visited or talked because you never really raced each other, right? And I mean, never in your career did you guys actually race at a pro level.
No, yeah, we were talking. I talked to him quite a bit, and so yeah, no, I never really crossed paths with him. He was kind of, 2000. He was basically finishing up and kind of going through all that with his wrist and back, I don't know, with his back or whatever injury that ended it. They all kind of blend together kind of for me.
Sure.
But I remember him racing. I grew up watching him, and
yeah,
especially as I was turning pro, he was the guy. Him and MC, so. I have vivid memories of watching him, studying him, and all that. But I turned pro. I did one race in 2000. I was still in high school. And then I didn't really start racing Supercross and motocross until 2001. I graduated high school a semester early. So about Christmas time, got out of school, packed up some gear bags, and went to California. And then I started racing Supercross like a couple weeks later. So I wasn't really prepared, but that's kind of how it worked back then. And that's how I started. So we didn't really cross paths that way.
Yeah.
With racing.
You mentioned going pro in 01. That you won the 125A pro sport at Loretta's. That was your last time there, right? In 01?
Yeah, exactly. So I had a deal with Mitch through Team Green where I got to do the first 3 Supercrosses and the first 3 outdoors. But I also had to do some amateur nationals. So I did Mini-O's that year. I did really good. It was actually in 2000, end of the year. And then also Loretta's. And the year before, I was much faster at Loretta's, but that year I ended up winning, and I really only won because my brother-in-law got a front flat in the last moto. And so that kind of gave me the win. But it's funny because we were talking with him going to Ohio. His name's Ryan Morris, and he's won Loretta's multiple, we asked him because we were talking about turd. Yeah. And so we were talking about how it doesn't really change your life if you win, we're like, hey Mo, how many times do you win? He goes, I don't know. So then he started counting or trying to think of how many times he won it. And so he thinks he won it about 5 times,
Okay.
And it's funny because it didn't really change his life. And he doesn't even know, it doesn't really add a lot of value to his life now. But for kids like Hudson, it's like his whole world and life revolves around this race. Like they're so stoked on it. So it's crazy how your perspective changes and how big the race is now for these kids. It was big for us, but for me, it was definitely important to win there. but it didn't really define my career as a racer, you know?
Right.
Yeah, Andrew, you kind of talked about that a couple of times, where how much different it is now than when you were coming up in amateurs. What's the biggest thing that you've noticed that makes that difference? And then also when you line up in that open pro sport class with all those 16, 17, 18-year-old kids trying to make it, what does that feel like?
Lining up with the pro sport kids, it does. I mean, it's just like racing. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter if you're racing rally and you're racing people from all over the world, or if you're racing 16 to 18-year-old kids. Like, to me, it's like all the same. And that's the beauty. It's like once the gate drops, like, you forget about everything in life and you're just trying to get to the checker flag as quick as you can. So I don't think it really matters if it's a 16 or 18-year-old kid or some 40-year-old dude from South America in a rally. You're still trying to beat that guy.
Right.
But, yeah, I think nowadays, like what you said, what it means, like for these kids, they're so specialized. And for the amateur nationals, it's like they kind of have them on lock. And that's just motorsports in general, or dirt bike, motorcycle racing in general right now. It used to be, you could be more well-rounded, I would say. Like, you could do motocross, supercross. You'd be good at 6 days or extreme enduro or whatever. Nowadays, you have to, like, specialize kind of in what you do, Like, if you're a hard enduro guy, you can't really be good at 6 days also. Or, if you're motocross and supercross, it's really hard to cross over to, say, like Works or Hare and Hound, something like that. Like, those guys have that on lock, So I've kind of observed this with the amateur racing as well. These kids are so specialized. They go to the training facilities. They've been doing it for so long, and it's like they have the system down. So I think that's all motorsports in general. It's so specialized now.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. When I was a kid, it was like the cream always kind of rose to the top. The kids were fast, but they weren't as specialized and devoted and, just the single focus on one event like they are today.
Right. I got a few things I want to get to with you before we get to Hudson, but let's go back to Thunder Valley just for a minute. You didn't get to see my start situation, but you went to moto before your first moto of the day. I believe it was your first moto of the day that was held pretty long.
Yeah.
Kind of give us your perspective on your start. Did you even know about the light situation?
No, because I went and watched starts from the first turn. So I was like, okay, I was just watching the starter.
Yeah.
As he went in. And then once I got on the gate, they're like, oh, no, there's lights. So, and I have seen your start. I saw it on Twitter, X, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I was cracking up because I felt the same as you. Like the first one, I put it in first gear too, revving it. My bike was getting super hot. I was starting to look to the left, like the gate broke. What happened? And then all of a sudden it went. So it was pretty wild. But by day 2, I feel like everything was okay. But the first day, it was kind of like a lottery because first moto, they held it so long.
Yeah.
I think ours was a little shorter than yours.
It was.
But it was long. And then, as the motos went on, like some of them were like down to 3 seconds. I mean, he like literally walked in the box and dropped it. So it was unique for sure.
Yeah, I think it was a bunch of people went and said something, and some people complained from my understanding to Dave, and then he tightened it up. But yeah, I'm glad that you said that though, so it makes me not sound quite so bad.
It's just the timing of it, Shorty. Like it doesn't matter if it's Steve or Dark or all these guys that are make a living off of being in media and stuff. It seems to the universe just makes stuff like that happen, and it's
For
just
me.
well, everybody too. Just like of course somebody was there with the camera and saw it, right?
Well, hell,
like,
Amber was filming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, but it's like the life of a pro racer right there. You're living the life of a pro racer like
Spotlight.
that. Because
Yeah.
at the test track, you always have a watch on you, right?
Oh yeah.
Like for all those pros that you watch, and then everything is like overanalyzed, in my opinion. Those guys can't go ride for fun. So there's always somebody watching them, or this, that, and the other, and somebody has to say something about something. And you're basically living the same life, Dark. Like there's always a camera around. So
that's true. That's a good way to look at it.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so wanted to touch on that pro life stuff, and actually a question my dad sent over to me to kind of ask is, when you're training and racing full time as a professional athlete, like I'm doing Supercross only because that's what I can afford as a privateer. Yeah. But when you're doing it full time, and I've dealt with it a little bit, but I want to hear what you have to say. How do you keep that drive going and keep the love of racing involved whenever you pretty much have no break?
Well, if you have to question that, I feel like you shouldn't be doing it because the risk or whatever.
Dang.
It's not.
For me,
my dad asked me to ask.
Yeah, like I think it's the same for kids too. It's like, you know, like all these kids at the Loretta stuff, you got to have internal motivation. This is what I would tell Hudson. You know, like he always gets so frustrated, like, oh, it's so easy for you or whatever. But I don't even want to tell him things. I want him to figure it out on his own. And if he wants to be good, he could figure it out. And I think that's never going to change. It doesn't matter how developed these, you know, training facilities get or whatever. Ultimately, it comes down to you putting in the work, you figuring it out. There's all these puzzle pieces to the puzzle that you have to figure out. You have to be mentally smart and physically. The technical side, you have to have speed regardless, right? But if you can't be consistent, but also that same drive and consistency. If you only have it for, you know, 6 months out of the year, that's not going to beat the guy that just lives it day in, day out. In my opinion, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
And to be truthful, I don't think I was the fastest kid growing up. Obviously, you said I won Loretta's my last year, but all those other years I got smoked, right? So I gradually just put in more and more work. My education in the sport kept growing. I wanted it. I studied, like I said earlier, I studied Jeff Emmett. You know, as I turned older, I'd watch VHS of him over and over and over, and people like that. And that suited me well as I turned pro because I knew I had the skill set to learn and adapt and watch people and put in the work and continue to grow and learn. Where some of those other kids that were super fast growing up and had everything, maybe weren't appreciative or didn't know the technical skills or have that technical side and the will and want to learn it, where I just continually chipped at it. And I think that served where the other kids kind of faded away. I continued to grow. So by no means did I never feel not burnt out, but I still love to ride. And I want to ride and I want to learn and all those things. Like riding's my favorite thing. So I think if you're getting burnt out like that, I think you have to question why you ride. And it's so dangerous. Like you seen Biden getting hurt, or I broke my back a year and a half ago. I said I didn't want to ride anymore and all those things. But I got super depressed mode. And last summer I came here and trail rode, and it made me super happy. And, you know, I feel like everybody has to kind of go through that thought process and figure out what makes them happy, but also why they're doing it and what they want to get out of it. And so I think if your motivation is low or your expectations, you have to manage that to align with the effort that you're putting in.
Good comment. Good response. I like it. Okay, I've got a few listener questions for you coming up, and then we'll get to Hudson. But actually, real quick, a bunch of our listeners probably know, most of them know that you did the AMA rider rep thing at some of the Supercross rounds and at least one national. You were there the day at round one at Fox when the Vial, Deeg, and both those guys went off the track, different penalties. How difficult is that for you to kind of be in that position and have to make those decisions? And there's other people involved besides just you. I mean, do you enjoy being a part of that?
No, I did not enjoy that part. But at the same time, I want to be the rider representative to help the riders with track safety and having a voice and someone to come to as a liaison, right? I feel like that's needed. And it needs to be a rider that's been there and felt it and understands the circumstances of what it feels like to be on the track and make those split-second decisions and, you know, that can relate. I think it's hard for a rider when they cross these moments and they're trying to plead their case to somebody that doesn't know what it feels like or has the same understanding. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think it's a spot that's needed. It's not something that's fun for me, but at the same time, I want to give back and I want to help. I feel like I've been tremendously blessed by the sport, something that I love to do. But I don't know if that's the right thing for me, but I've committed to it. I'm doing another one this weekend in Southwick.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that one was really difficult. They all told me, like, Pelletier and all those guys were like, it's not normally like this and all those things. But I hope that they can get other riders to kind of step in and do this when needed. And not to say that the people that are involved right now, that they do a bad job, because they do a great job and they're helping for the same reasons and the same intention. You know, they want to make the sport better and they're fully dedicated and they're all in to help the sport. You know, so I'm appreciative of them also, you know, but I hope that some former riders that have competed at a high level that will see the need or want to give back and help the sport.
Okay. I'm going to do 3 listener questions and then we will get Hudson on, which guys who are listening and my studio co-host here, Hudson sent me a text a little while ago about how he's going to talk to us, and it was pretty funny, so I'll read that to you in just a minute. But this is from Instagram, Lucas Como. I'm not sure if that's how you say your last name. I apologize. Says, ask Sorty about the Goober Woods racer who jumped too early at the start, Moto 2 plus 40 at Thunder Valley. I guess that was this weekend. I lined up next to him to BS and get a picture before the gate dropped. Says I'm not sure. Do you know what he's talking about?
Oh yeah, no, I lined up next to this dude. Unfortunately, it was in the moto that Matt got hurt, but he was from Louisiana. He's also a fellow like cross country rider. You know, that's why I love to race the Torque Series back home.
Yep.
But he's like, yeah, I have a 350 XCF. I'm like, oh yeah, I have the same bike. You know, I was riding my 450. You know, and but that's a great bike. You know, and so yeah, he was lining up, dude, and you know exactly how that start guy was, right?
Yep.
So he started walking towards the building, and dude, this guy just let the clutch out, like smashed the gate, and I was ready to go, you know, and it was so yeah. But then he had to pull. He was like basically stuck in the gate.
Oh no!
You got to watch out for them Cajuns, dude. They're wild.
His kids were giving him a hard time. Let's put it that way.
That's awesome. So, all right, from Vital, Spoon Guy on Vital says, ask Andrew what his scariest moment in Dakar was, or Dakar.
The whole thing?
Dakar.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're riding for so long that something gnarly happens and you totally forget, because there's 5 other moments like this, you know, throughout the day, and you do this for 14 days straight. So there's always something, right? And, or a big drop that no one sees and everyone kind of goes off it, you know, and launches it. There's always these moments, right? But at the same time, it's so much fun because you're navigating, there's strategy, there's all these things. You're riding through really cool scenery and all these crazy places you probably shouldn't be riding a motorcycle, it feels like at some point, because it's too cool to be true. But yeah, I mean, it's just part of the sport. So, but it's really cool. There's so many things, and I wish the American public, or, you know, the people could understand how about this race. I feel like it's never going to truly happen. And it's kind of like when you go see something and you try to tell someone how, you know, you go on vacation or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. But unless you see it and you feel it and touch it and feel the emotion, you just can't understand it. But this race is truly special.
I have no business trying any of that stuff, and then to throw on top of that, y'all do it at night too. Like, I'm so far out on that.
Yeah, no racing at night. It's all during the day.
I thought Dakar did some night stuff or evenings.
No, you do.
See, it shows how much I know.
I actually did it in a side-by-side. My last year, I helped navigate with this chick, and we didn't finish. The car broke, and we were in the side-by-side at night in dunes. Oh my gosh, it was more terrifying than the bike. I guess they do some at night. Yeah.
Okay, last one is from my co-host TJ Smith, who I believe you've met. His son Doc is in studio tonight. He's the one that was talking about racing. I guess you must have rode TJ's do-it-yourself e-bike at Glen Helen, or did you?
Oh yeah,
that's one of my buddies. He's a bit of an idiot, but yeah, he wants to know what you thought of his do-it-yourself e-bike.
That's the only e-bike I've really ever ridden, so I have nothing to compare it to. But yeah, actually, I did ride a Stark. Hudson just reminded me, he's sitting next to me, but I rode this was the same trip. It was Christmas time. Hudson was out of school. We went out there for Christmas break. We went to Glen Helen. It was horrible that day. I don't know why, but we parked right next to him, and this bike is basically, I don't know if you've ever described it on your show, but it's basically a handmade, custom built e-bike out of a CRF chassis.
Yep.
And it was super cool. It was a little weird.
Stop it.
Not as polished and like the fit and finish, I guess, you know, of a Stark, but I was amazed by the ingenuity.
Yeah,
that's the right word.
Yeah,
that he at the time, and like it was pretty cool. Everything he put into that bike, and it was fun to ride it.
Feel his head getting bigger.
He's smiling so big wherever he is right now, and I'm dying inside because I never give him credit or positivity.
Shorty, it's got wieners on it, man. Like
it does. Shorty, yeah.
It was a pretty cool bike.
Yeah, I rode it.
I couldn't put together something like that. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you know? he's actually
it's not something you see every day.
He's pretty good at that kind of stuff. I'll give him credit. He's pretty smart when it comes to mechanical stuff. He's an idiot when it comes to grammar and English, but other than that,
The entire greater East Texas area knows that you rode that bike. I promise you that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Every time somebody sees it, yeah, Shorty rode it. He loved it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. All right, before we get Hudson on, I feel like I saw something recently. Did Jackie get a bike, or did I see her? She's going to be riding, or I feel like I saw somewhere on social media that she got a bike.
Yeah, no, we were selling one of Hudson's bikes, and we went to the dealership. And so when we brought it there, I'm like, yeah, I want to use this money for a 125 when they come in for 2025. They're like, well, we just got one in today, and it's the only one we're getting. I'm like, oh, great. So we ended up getting a new 125. And, Hudson's still in the 10 to 12 class. Mm-hmm. He's AMA 12, but he's 13. It's so weird how all that stuff works.
Yeah.
But he's not quite ready for a 125, but they're only getting one in for the year. I'm like, that sounds fun for me to ride. And Jackie was like, me too. So she's actually going to ride it at the Sprint Enduro this weekend. She's going to take Hudson to the race, the Sprint Enduro near Bastrop, where we live in Texas. So she's going to ride the 125. Hudson's going to ride 80, but it's more or less for Hudson. But me and Mom are going to steal it all the time and ride it. So
nice.
It looks like it'll be a fun bike to ride.
Yeah, because she still rips, right?
I mean, yeah, dude, for a mom, it's like me, it's like she knows how to ride, and you don't really forget how to do that. But, yeah, we're faster than we are, I guess. Or,
you're right,
know how older you get, So in her head, she still feels like she rips. But I love to go ride with her. Like for our anniversary last year, we came to Colorado to the mountains and Crested Butte and rode, and she can ride anything, that we go. So it's really cool to have somebody like that, a wife like that can go ride and go do all those things and go to those places. It's really fun. But she definitely doesn't ride moto as fast as she used to, but she can definitely still ride a bike.
Nice. All right. Well, let's get Turd on. Let's get your son on. We'll talk some shit with him. Thanks, Andrew.
Turd's been sitting here the whole time.
I know.
Here he is.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, Andrew. It was great hanging out with you this weekend and seeing you. So thanks for. Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to see your moto because it was right after mine, and I was always like dead tired riding back to the truck. But
you didn't miss anything.
Oh, come on.
Well, I appreciate it. You there?
Yo, Dark Side.
What's up, Hudson? So before we get going, so everybody that's listening, he sent me a text. He said, I'm going to talk tonight like you ride. I just went to the dentist. My lips are numb. So basically, I ride with no feeling. This is how Hudson talks to me. But before we get into me, Hudson, how long have you actually been taking racing seriously? Because it hasn't been very long, I don't think.
Maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
Ish. I started riding at COVID. I just started riding a pit bike, and then it started escalating quickly. And it just started escalating quicker and quicker, and I caught the moto bug. So
I like it.
Probably 2 years I've been racing.
So once you started getting into, well, let's just talk about now. Like, what are your goals? What do you hope to make a professional career, or have you thought about that? Have you talked about it?
I haven't thought about that really at all. Right now, the goal is like Ponca and Minios.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is top 10 in the 10 to 12 class. It's on the fridge right now. And maybe a whole shot or two. Okay. So I like that. Small goals, short-term goals. And you were doing well, right? You rode really well at your area at Three Palms, as I recall, when I was there. But unfortunately, what happened at Oak Hill? How did we break something or fracture the wrist? There was a step up that was up the hill that was pretty steep, but you didn't get much air on it. And the whip was okay. I was like first moto in the morning, I think. And I mean, I don't even really know what happened. I just was going straight over the bars, and I walked through my bars, and I put both my wrists out. And my left wrist wasn't so fortunate.
Never fun, man. Never fun. I've had a few of those broken wrists. So not good, but you're in good spirits though. I like that. You're just a happy kid and full of advice, which we will get to, but Scotty, go ahead.
Actually my question is a little bit about advice. Your dad mentioned that you get a little frustrated when you see how easy he does things, but it took him a long time to get there. So you have to keep that in mind. What are some of the things that your dad has taught you about riding that, you take in on the track and in life as well?
Starts is almost the biggest thing, I think. He's taught me tons about starts, and that's always been my strong point. But mainly, I'm still working on this now with mentality. My mental fitness when I ride, if I have a bad ride, isn't that great right now. And he's definitely trying to help me with that. And I would say that really is the biggest thing, the mental toughness.
That's good.
Yeah, I can see that. I get a little negative with some of my moments of riding, so I understand where you come from with that. On the actual on-track riding side, you know this, right? Your dad was known as a smiley face assassin. Nicest guy on the planet off the bike. Not so nice on the bike.
Yeah.
Do you implement any of that when you're on the track? Do you feel like you get really aggressive? Because you're a nice kid off the bike, but I haven't had to race you.
Yeah, my dad gets mad at me a lot because I've taken a lot of people out and taken myself out at the same time.
Okay.
I don't have very many successful takeouts without taking many other people out without myself being taken down too. But I definitely, I'm an aggressive rider-ish, but off the track, I'd like to say I'm happy. So kind of a happy, smiley face assassin 2.0-ish.
Yeah, nice.
I like it. Were you how was your mental reaction when you broke your wrist and knew that the Loretta's dream this year at least is over? Was it very difficult to deal with, or were you kind of positive, like, okay, let's start rebuilding and do it again?
Well, like after I crashed, we went back to the van, and there was this kid that rode my bike back, which was super cool, like just this 16-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
And we came back to the van, and we put some ice on it, and I was hoping to ride again. We didn't really know it was that bad. And I went out for sight lap, and right before my moto, and in the second turn, I was already almost crying. So I just waited for everyone to go back to the finish line, and then went back to the van. And then really, as soon as I went out for that sight lap, I really knew it was like over almost. But then the next morning, I think we went to go get an X-ray, and we really like figured out what was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I fractured the end of my radius almost off, but no surgery. It was all in place still.
That's good.
But I rested a lot and like didn't do much and like did everything the doctors told me, and like Dr. Small was super good. Gave us some good advice, and I went out. We decided to go for my Ohio regional, which is like a 20-hour drive, and Dad was not too stoked on that one, but he took me, and my hand was falling off the bars the whole time, but I pushed through it. It was fun. I didn't qualify there, obviously, but yeah, it was awesome.
But were you broken hearted, or were you able to be kind of positive and say, okay, I got to heal up and just do it again?
I felt like I was pretty positive because I tried. I had like no regrets. I tried as hard as I could, and I have no regrets with how I did.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Hudson, it's no secret that your dad had quite the career, and I'm sure you hear people come up to you all the time and talk about the story with your dad and stuff like that. But what do you remember, or what do you go back and look at stuff that your dad did, or what do you kind of think about your dad's career, and what do you remember from it when it happened?
When I first started riding, I really realized like what he did and who he was, and I went back and watched all these YouTube videos, and I was like, dude, you did that? And then he started telling me about all this stuff. And mainly it's like these people that I ride with all the time, like this one buddy that we always come and ride with, Brady Olson. He always brings up new YouTube videos every day of my dad riding. And it's always super cool because there's more stuff coming day in and day out of old stuff with my dad.
Yeah, he was fast, in case you're wondering.
Yeah. He wasn't bad.
Yeah.
He wasn't bad. All right, let's talk about you as my coach a little bit. So first of all, let's back up. So you guys heard Andrew say that Hudson's like a fan, likes me, right? He's a fan or whatever. Right. I don't know. The first time I met Hudson, I think it was the first time I met him, we were at Supercross. I can't remember what city, but like he actually knew where was it?
Houston.
Ah, okay. Yes, it was. He like knew my real name. Like that was, nobody knew, like this is years ago. And he knew my real name, and Andrew was like, it blew me away that he knew your name, and it blew me away. How were you just a big listener of Pulp and all that, and you kind of just remember everything?
I knew who you were. Like I knew your dark side off Pulp and everything from my dad when you would speak on there and everything.
Yeah.
But honestly, I knew your first name was Jamie, but I didn't know your last name was Guida. and your name tag was facing right towards me. So I just was like, oh, Jamie. Oh, Guida. Jamie Guida.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you. All right. Well, that's cool.
I can't call him. It's weird, hard for me to call him Jamie Hudson. I always call him Darkside.
Yeah.
Even when I refer him to other people, like, yeah, I was talking to Darkside the other day.
It's so weird.
I just can't call you Jamie. It's weird.
All right, Hudson, as my coach. So first time he really gave me some pointers was at Three Palms, and he was calling me out for not doing a double that kids on 60s, 5s were doing. And then at Lakewood, as I said, he's like, all right, there's a dragon's back. He said, like, roll into the pocket of the first one, and then you could jump over the top of the thing. And he's in that triple over there. He said, I can do that on my 85. I was like, oh, yeah, dude, you've seen me ride, man. But I think your expectations of me are a little higher than my abilities, Hudson.
No, your ability was to do the triples. You had it. The dragon's back was a little ambitious. Like, that would have been a little above.
Yeah.
But I was taking, like, the jump to jump still mentality, like that kind of mentality. Like, if you can jump the jumps, you'll be fine.
Sure.
That's like the mentality.
Yeah. I agree with you. My biggest regret is not jumping that triple. It's eating at me, but I just didn't want to risk it. But I would 100% have had a position better in Motos 2 and 3 had I jumped it, because the guy I was battling with didn't jump it. So
yeah. Then you could have landed on him, and all that could have happened.
Yeah, but it's Hudson's he's a cool kid. He's funny. He's a little bit of a smart ass, but he's also, he really is trying to motivate. I feel like Hudson down the road, like, you could be a riding coach if you get your technique down and all that. Like, if at some point in your life, I feel like you have enough motivation in you to push somebody. I actually liked having you kind of try to motivate me. I enjoyed it.
I can be Darkside's official riding coach.
Yeah,
I guess it's announced. It's fully announced. I hope you don't require like a lot of pay, like maybe some Sour Patch Kids.
2 lollipops a day.
Yeah, there you go.
What'd you say?
2 lollipops a day.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm in, locked in. It's official.
I'm buying them in bulk right now.
Yeah, I like the idea of the. You should totally do that. You probably won't make it, but you should totally send that jump.
Yeah. No, he said the one up at the top, he said, you can make that. He said the one coming out of the bottom, you might not be able to get that, but
you don't know until you know. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, well, you could, it'd be a little tough, but you could probably do it, is what he said. Something along those lines. So, very positive about it. But when do you get back to riding?
Well, I rode today on my dad's bike. We just brought 2 big bikes. I rode his off-road bike, so we didn't have to change jetting and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I rode today, and my wrist didn't hurt at all, surprisingly. I wore the Mobius wrist brace, and it's been good. Like, you had them on, right, Darkside?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thunder Valley?
Yep, yes, I did.
Yeah, they work really good, and my wrist didn't hurt at all today, so I was pretty stoked on that.
Okay, and then I think your dad said, are you doing an off-road race this weekend too? Is that what he said? Yeah,
I should be. Yeah.
Okay, good. So getting back into it, that's good. Well, Hudson, man, yeah, I like you, man. You're a good kid, and it's been really a pleasure, even though you're 13, right? 14?
Yep.
Well, yeah, so even though you're a teenager, man, I consider you one of my buddies, my friends, and I appreciate your help, man. It was really cool to get to hang out with you this weekend, and I hope that you continue to progress in your racing, and let's you and I make Loretta's next year together.
Yeah, sickest pit area ever.
I like it. Well, dude, thank you for coming on here tonight and spend some time with us, and tell your dad again, Thank you. And we appreciate you guys.
Okay.
All right, Hudson, have a good night, bud. We'll see you soon.
Yep. You too.
All right. Bye. Andrew and Hudson Short brought to you tonight by FXR. Awesome group, man. Yeah. Hudson's a cool freaking kid.
What a total like shot in the dark that Andrew Short raised a good kid.
True.
Yeah. I mean,
good
who would
point.
have thought that?
Good
right?
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So down to earth, man. It's cool to hear them talk. It's awesome.
Absolutely. We're going to try to squeeze the TBolt USA top 5 in real fast before we get awesome Forkner in. We are running just a little bit behind schedule, but if you're a pit bike enthusiast and love shredding around on a CRF 110, KLX 110, or whatever you have, you need TBoltUSA.com. Bookmark that on your web browser and visit TBoltUSA.com. TBolt USA is a pit bike supply site that has everything you need for your pit bike. from BBR handlebars to D&M shocks, and even full bikes from YCF and Pitster Pro bikes, TBolt USA has it all. They even have stuff for the Chinese bikes that are so difficult to find. Over the years, man, I've had people on Facebook like hit me up that know I ride, like buddies, and it's like, hey, I have this dirt bike I got for my kid. It doesn't run. Do you know where I can get it fixed or get parts for it? And then you look at it and it's like, yeah, man, it's one of those Chinese bikes. I don't know. Well, apparently Vince Pale over at TBolt USA says he has parts for most of those bikes, and you'll find pit bikes, engines, and parts of all kinds at TBoltUSA.com. So tonight, the TBolt USA top 5 is bucket list items. This could be anything in life. It doesn't have to be a race. It's something that might be on your bucket list. If you want to get involved, MotoXpodShow@gmail.com. Next week, this is per TJ, top five things that are overpriced. Who would have thunk that from TJ? So we're going to do
everything.
Just put life.
Yeah.
We're going to do a couple of these, and then we'll get Austin on, and then we'll come back to finish it up with our schedule. Do either of you have a list?
I'm ready.
Scotty, go ahead. Give me your top 5 bucket list items.
I never do these in specific order.
That's fine.
But,
no worries.
I'd say skydiving.
Okay.
I've always wanted to go to like a really nice restaurant and order one of everything.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, just one of everything, taste it all, and then the leftovers go to like give it to like a homeless person or something like that.
Okay.
Share, like, 'cause I don't want to waste it, but
Sure.
I've always wanted to try, because I hate deciding on what I want. So I've always wanted to just go and just get everything. Go to like a trip to Europe, or like just any like big trip, like to another country, experience all their cultures. I've never really gotten to do that, so that's one. I've always wanted to have, and this has been on another list of things I want to do, where like I want to take like a road trip with an RV and bikes and ride like all these famous areas, famous tracks, dunes, whatever. Just maybe couple month long trip of all the way around the country of riding different places. And then I also just put like having a family, I'm engaged, so that's step 1, but looking forward to having kids and, starting a family and all that. So that would be another bucket list item. That's my 5.
I like it. That's a good list. The starting a family one, that's a good one. My family, my kids are grown, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm a little late, but not too late. So
no, that's really cool. We'll get back to my and Doc's top 5 here in a minute. Our next guest of the night is on the line. He's going to be brought to you by ProX, which is rooted in racing from motocross to off-road and supporting teams such as Ampro Yamaha, Pro Circuit Kawasaki, and SLR Honda. They have been supplying quality components for almost 50 years, from complex jobs like an engine rebuild to simple maintenance, including filters, chains, and sprockets. ProX aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. You can find ProX at your local dealer or visit prox-usa.com and search for parts for your bikes. Tonight, ProX brings us from Pro Circuit Kawasaki, Austin Forkner. What's up, Austin?
How's it going?
It's going good, man. How you feeling?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty much back to normal now.
Good.
Honestly, like the surgery wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be as far as like how I feel. I mean, while I was in the hospital for a couple days in the ICU, wasn't the greatest, but like since then, I mean, like I thought I would have like crazy bad, like migraine style headaches and stuff. It hasn't really been that bad. So it's probably actually better than I I was expecting the worst though, to be honest. Like I was expecting that it was just going to be hell.
Yeah.
I kind of know like how most other surgeries are going to feel after. I mean, I've like obviously broken bones, done ligaments, done, most other stuff. But this one I was not really sure of, just like how I would feel after. Like I didn't know how I would feel like during the surgery. I didn't know if I'd have like weird ass dreams from them, like, operating on my brain while I'm under anesthesia or whatever. And I didn't, but like, I just didn't know how anything would go. Like that's kind of a, like rare one, I guess.
Sure.
Like even like the Dr. Ryman, who works for like the Alpine Star medical unit, like he's kind of who I was seeing for concussion protocol type stuff. And then when they found all this out, and even he was like, I don't really know what to tell you. Like he was like, he was like, all like, I can tell you is I think this needs to be fixed. But he was like, dude, I he's like, I can't tell you if, you're going to ride again, or if you're like, they just didn't like, I mean, I don't think brain surgery is a super common thing, at least like for athletes. It's always concussion stuff and everything. So like, that's kind of who I was dealing with. Is I was dealing with Ryman and then another neurosurgeon, but they were like, the main thing they were checking me out for was concussion. So then whenever they found this, they were kind of like, oh, like that's kind of just not what we expected, and it seems like it's a problem. So you need to go see somebody who knows what he's talking about, basically.
Right?
Like it's like somebody who specializes in this stuff or whatever. So I think the surgery was. I didn't know this until a couple of days ago, but because the doctor's kind of a man of few words type doctor. I mean, he after the surgery, he came in and he told Riley and my mom that, surgery went well, it went great. I'll check in routinely, and you guys will probably go home in a couple days. And that's kind of all he said. Then they were like kicked out at like 8 or 10 o'clock or something at night, and they weren't allowed back until 8 in the morning. And he always came in super early. Like I remember him waking me up a couple times, like just to talk to me or whatever. But I was pretty heavily on some meds and shit. So,
good stuff.
I barely remember like our conversation. So like, that's why I wish they were there. Cause he may have talked about it or something. Like we may have had this conversation, but, I don't remember it and they weren't there. But Riley's mom, saw the doctor that kind of like referred me to him. Like I went up and, obviously Riley's dad used to play for the, he played NFL for a long time, and he played for the 49ers was like the last team he played for. So they have, whenever I found out about this, I kind of hit him up and was like, hey, I mean, you probably know a lot of head guys up there, or at least you probably know somebody who does know head guys. This wasn't concussion related, but either way, you probably have some connections to some doctors up there. And he was like, yeah, I know a guy who will probably know guys. And, so it's kind of just like their orthopedic surgeon doctor is who I went and saw to kind of get the referral. And anyway, Riley's mom saw him the other day, and she just asked him like, hey, how'd the surgery go? How was everything? And he was like, well, what do you know? And she was like, I mean, all we really know is that it went well. And the doctor didn't really say much. He just said it went good. And, I mean, I recovered really quick. I got out of the ICU in like 2 days, which is the fastest he said he's ever seen anybody recover from a brain surgery. So everything that seemed fine, like everything. And she was like, everything seemed fine. And he was like, yeah, he doesn't really say much. Yeah. He was like, that surgery was nuts. Like, so I guess, I don't know if you've seen my scar from my video or whatever, but I'm cut like kind of almost from ear to ear. Well, originally they planned on just going through like my forehead, because it's in the front right. It was in the front right part of my brain, like the front right lobe or whatever. And I woke up with all those staples, and I mean, that wasn't really the plan, but like, I didn't really think much of it. Like I was just like, okay, something must have changed. So what they ended up doing is he got in there, and it was kind of a bigger problem than he thought, or it was a bigger, AVM, or, he said my sense of smell, like my smell nerve or whatever, was like intertwined in it. So he actually had to take my whole right part of my brain out and put it on the table, basically in a bowl, and operate on it under a microscope, and then put it back in, because I guess the plan was that he thought it was going to be pretty easy. Go in, cut it out, not have to, take part of my brain, like just go in and just be able to take that thing out. Make as small kind of an incision as he could. Well, ended up not being like that. I'm cut. I have a bunch of staples, and I have 2 random ones in the back of my head that I don't even know what they're for. Well, I know now that they put me in one of those like external like fixator things that they put guys in when they like break their neck or whatever, that screws into like your skull, just to keep my head still while he was operating on my brain next to my head or something, dude. I don't even know.
It's like something out of a movie.
Wait, they didn't tell you that it was like, they just like, yeah, it went well. Like,
I mean, I get like, that's kind of, I mean, which is all the info we need to know. Yeah. I mean, that's the most important thing is, hey, how'd the surgery go? It went perfect. He said it went great. It went perfect. he should be fine. He should everything is taken care of. The AVM's gone. It shouldn't ever be a problem again. And he's still saying, it's about 3 months. He'll be able to ride again, whatever. And maybe he did. That's what I'm saying is maybe we had a discussion. I just don't remember it. And he always came in at like 7:30 in the morning before he would like go to his like, cause he kind of is like a private guy. He used to be like one of Stanford's like #1 brain doctors. So I know he's good, but he kind of does his like own thing now. So like the hospital I was at was not like his, like, he kind of just works wherever he can get a surgery room. Like he just, hey, get me in a room and, let me work basically. So he doesn't have like a one place he does surgeries. He kind of just moves to wherever he can get in or wherever, but if there's another doctor that needs to help him or whatever. So, he came in early before he like went to his like normal office or whatever. And that was before my mom and Riley were allowed back in. So we may have had a conversation like that, or if they were in there, maybe they would have, they probably would have asked him questions, but he was in there early and I was so out of it that I remember he woke me up. The only conversation I actually remember having was when he released me, was when he was like, hey, and I woke up and I was like, hi. My first thought was like, who the hell are you?
Sure.
Like, I should probably act like you look like, and I was like, wait, you look familiar. And I was like, wait, you're my surgeon. I was like, okay, I should probably try to act like I know who you are and everything so I can get the hell out of here. Like I probably shouldn't act like I don't know what the hell's going on, which I didn't. I was just like, I just woke up and I was obviously super out of it anyway. But we may have had that conversation or whatever. But and I'm sure like I'm gonna ask him when I go back in like a week. I have to go back up there and get my staples out. So I'll talk to him more about it. But that was just Riley's mom saw the guy who referred me to him, and he said that he's kind of a man of few words, but he did ask him about how the surgery went, and it didn't, I guess, go as exactly as planned, as in he had to kind of, I guess, change things up and take half my brain out of my soul, basically, and do it that way. But and also that it was just he said he doesn't know how I haven't already had a stroke or a seizure or an aneurysm or something like that happen already. It was that kind of big of a problem.
Crazy.
He said that, basically he doesn't know how it didn't already happen. And then if we hadn't have done it when we did, like it could have been days, weeks, months away from, having something kind of semi-catastrophic or straight up catastrophically like bad happen. So it's a really good thing that we did it when we did it. But yeah, that I just heard that info. Yes. Like, I was kind of under the impression like, hey, everything's fine. Like, I don't feel that bad. So I was like, maybe it was even less of a problem than he thought. Like everything, I feel pretty good. So maybe, and then, her mom told her that, I think Riley posted a video of me like listening to like some like metal music and like shaking my head, and her mom called her and was like, hey, can you tell him like, probably don't be like shaking his head around and stuff.
No head banging.
She was like, why? And she was like, I talked to the doctor and like that surgery was pretty insane. And like, he probably just like, it was pretty nuts. And Riley was like, really? Like what, like what happened? And then she explained all that. So, so it was, definitely like, I guess it's kind of a weird feeling as in like, like, that it's like I definitely know why my Dallas crash happened. Now, I guess, like that it's pretty clear to me on why that happened. Like, and I it's kind of weird to have like a clear kind of answer. Cause all the other, like, I'm always at like, man, why did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
Why now? Why, like, like why for most of my bad crashes, why did this happen? Is it me? What do I need to work on? Was it just a stupid mistake I made? I need to figure out how to not, like, I don't, it's hard for me to just sit back and just say, just
accept it. Right.
Like I don't look at things like that. Like I always feel like there's a problem or something that I need to fix, even though sometimes things just happen. Like the crash with Jet, that just happened, when he messed up, came over into me, and I kind of just was a passenger. So that, sometimes things just happen. The first turn crash a couple of years ago at Anaheim, sometimes things just happen. But every time I still ask myself, why did this happen? What can I do better? Why, in this one, I think it's a pretty clear sign on, why this happened. So that's it's kind of an odd feeling though. Because usually I don't get a clear answer, on why things happen. Maybe one day I will. People always say, everything happens for a reason. You just gotta trust. But it's so hard for me to just sit back and just say, everything happens for a reason.
Right, sure.
You go on. I don't need to change anything. I guess it happened for. It's hard for me to just have that outlook. Like I always think, just as a professional athlete, you always
analyze
when something goes wrong. You just break down what went wrong, what you can do better, what you need to be better at, even if it didn't have anything to do with the crash. You still think about ways you can be better and the things you could change. And,
sure.
And so it's kind of a weird one, as in just that this is about as clear as it gets of why this crash happened.
I like that you look at it that way.
That's interesting because I watched both of your videos again today. The one you did right after the Dallas crash. And for people that maybe don't have the whole story, don't even realize all this. So you had the big crash in Dallas where you broke, I think, your L3, L4 transverse, scapula, a bunch of injuries, right? Then
I teared up watching that post video, man. It was
you
hard,
were very
man.
emotional in that video. That was in February. And then you have another video in June, like an update, and you talk about this AVM, which is like, you may have to explain again, but I believe it's like a little bit of bleeding in the head.
It's like essentially like a cluster of blood vessels, I guess, that are like they're just really that they're just kind of a cluster of like abnormal blood vessels that can rupture and then in turn like bleed or like hemorrhage or like I don't know, something along the lines of that, and which we already knew about this.
Right.
I had a crash practicing at Robbie's back in 2017. Outdoor season, I drug my foot off of this rutted like kind of ski jump thing on an outdoor track and did a Zach Bell and like landed and I was messed up for a while. I hit my head really hard and it bled from there. And but at the time it was really, really small and they weren't really worried about it unless kind of basically unless we walked away from that kind of just saying like from what the doctors and everybody kind of said, they were like, okay, well, like, unfortunately, it's really small, so we think your risk of it bleeding again is low, but it's kind of just like we got to see kind of if it bleeds again. If you hit your head again and it bleeds again, then it's an issue, obviously. If it doesn't, then we think you're at really low risk of this like rupturing and causing a seizure and causing or whatever. They were like, at the time it was so small because the size of it, I guess the size of it increases like your chance of something happening. And at the time it was so small that they were like, we think that this really just happened because you hit your head so hard. We don't think it really, had like a direct effect on this specific AVM, but because it has bled in the past, that immediately it doubles my chances of it bleeding in the future.
Sure. Or
like, and if it, the doctor said that if it bleeds a second time or when it happens a second time, then that's usually like a worse time, like, the first time the bleed wasn't good. I don't remember things for weeks and it was pretty damn serious, but he was like the second time it happens, it's likely that it can cause a seizure, an aneurysm, a stroke, something along the lines of that. Just if it gets, and then if it gets bigger, that just increases your chances. So, and mine, whether it be from hitting my head and getting concussions or just normal life or, whatever, that they couldn't really tell me. Mine got bigger.
Yep.
And, almost every time I've like had a crash, like I remember they mentioned it to me after my crash at Anaheim when I blew my knee out in the first turn.
Oh,
they did a CAT scan of my brain whenever I went and they were like, hey, do you know, because that was the last thing I was waiting for. They basically came in and told me, hey, we think your knee's probably, you should get an MRI of it, but from the x-ray, it looks like you tore your ACL. Like, it looks like the fluid buildup or whatever indicates like an ACL. And then I was bummed, and I was like, just let me get out of here. And they were like, wait, you have to wait. The head doctor's coming in to kind of go over your CAT scan from that. And I was like, I know my head's fine. Like, I didn't even get knocked out or anything. I was like, I know it's fine. Waited like 30 minutes, and he came in and was like, hey, do you know about the thing in your like front of? And I was like, are you talking about the blood vessel thing? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I know about it. We kind of checked it out back in whenever in 2017, and I know about it, so I'm good. And he was like, okay, cool. So I've had people mention it to me, but I don't know if maybe I didn't take it seriously because I just thought that I knew about it, you know, and that they weren't really concerned with it getting bigger, at least from my memory of the whole thing back in 2017. They weren't really worried about it getting bigger and stuff. I mean, maybe they didn't know that it would, or didn't think that, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't seeing the right people. I don't remember exactly, but they weren't really that concerned about it. They were just concerned on if it, like, you know, if I hit my head and it bled again, basically. But they didn't really mention like that it could just bleed, you know, I'd be sitting on the couch and the thing could just rupture. And then if it does that, then I have a stroke or I have something bad happen. They didn't really mention that. And probably because it was so small that my percentage of risk was like 1%. So, I mean, you take a 1% chance of dying driving to the coffee shop at that rate. So, I mean, 1% essentially, and what we do, 1% is like nothing. So, I think that's maybe why it just wasn't as big of a deal. But then when I saw these guys after this one, they were like, they weren't really, honestly, I heard a lot of nothing for like 2 or 3 weeks up until the point that it was like 2 or 3 weeks before outdoors started. And I was like, hey, like my shoulder's fine. My back's fine. Like my head's fine too. Like, are you guys gonna, you know, I went in, I did my test. I passed the baseline test and all the stuff I was supposed to do for that. You know, they told me the first time that they saw me in the place I was going that I just by the conversation I was having that I was fine for my concussion. They were like, and then they had me do some balance things and whatever, and I passed everything. So I was like, so, you know, what the hell is the holdup? Like, I'm barely going to be ready for outdoors at this pace. Like, let's go. And I was like, Mitch, you gotta call these guys or something. Like, I don't know what the deal is. Like, they're not letting, like, I don't know what the problem is. Everybody's asking me, Tony's asking me, like, everybody's calling me, hey, when you, like, are you good? I'm like, yeah, I am good. I don't know, but I don't know what the problem is. Yeah. And then they had kind of I walked in, they told me to come in, and I walked in, and there were like 3 or 4 doctors in there, and I was like, oh, shit. I was like,
maybe I'm not
like, you're probably not going to release me today, are you? And they were like, yeah, just take a seat. And I was like, oh, no. Jeez. So they just broke all that stuff down to me. So that was probably like, honestly, that moment was probably like the most scared or most caught off guard that I was, just because I walked in thinking I was going to get released, basically. And then they're talking about, basically, they didn't know enough about it to tell me, like they just said, we think that this needs to be removed. So we think you need brain surgery, but we can't tell you the severity of it. We like, they just didn't know enough about it to be like, all they could tell me was this looks like a problem. But we don't know enough about this to tell you, like, if you can get it removed and if you know, if you're going to be able to ride again, or if you can't, or if you can in a year, or if you, like, they just didn't know anything. So I essentially left that going like, okay, I need brain surgery, and I don't know if I'm going to be fine, if I'm ever going to be able to ride again, if I'm going to be normal, if, you know, anything. I just left being like, yeah, they need to cut into my head and cut this thing out of my skull, like out of my brain, and cut through my skull, essentially. And that's kind of gnarly news.
Yes,
like,
it is.
Like, that's kind of, you know, so I left that meeting kind of with that, and I was like, for a few days. Then once I found the doctor and I went up and talked to him again, like, he kind of doesn't really say much, but he put me at ease, you know, from the conversation with him. He was like, yeah, he's like, you'll be fine. He's like, I've done this before. Like, the surgery, I'm not super, he's like, I'm not worried about the surgery. He's like, you'll be fine. You'll be good to ride in about 3 months. He's like, September is probably about the time you can expect to ride.
Okay.
He's like, I want you to take it easy at first, and obviously, like, but you're gonna be fine. And that's pretty much all he said. He was like, I'm gonna have to cut through your skull, and I'm gonna have to go in and cut this thing out, and it's gonna be, that's, for him, that's like me hitting a Supercross triple. I can do that shit with my eyes closed. Like, it's that for him. For me, I'm sitting there like, this is like easy for you.
Yeah.
But then it's the same thing as, as anybody coming and watching us ride a Supercross track, and they're like, hey, like that is crazy. How do you hit whoops? How do you hit a triple? And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't even feel that good today. So, like that's, it's the same thing, it's the same thing. It's just
he does it every day.
It's just perspective, So, so he put my mind quite a bit at ease about it, about the whole deal. So,
okay.
And I mean, obviously I think he's literally like one of the best in the world at that, at, brain surgery.
Yeah.
From what, like, people in the hospital were like, who are you seeing? And I told them, and they were like, oh, you're serious. They're like, you're like not messing around.
Yeah,
like that guy is legit.
That's
like,
good.
Like really legit.
Sure.
So, which is that's what I wanted. That's what I needed. So, and he understood the sport. He understood like, which is another thing, is this isn't really a sports related injury, but he knows athletes, and he knows how, you have to put everything into back on the bike terms, or back, playing your sport or whatever terms, like, even though this wasn't a sports related injury, he knew that my first question was going to be, when can I ride again? And he was able to tell me that before we even, did my first visit with him. He was able to answer all my questions and pretty much tell me everything. And which kind of put me at ease, at least a lot more than I was before that. So, and then we did it, and now I'm kind of through the rough part. Good. And feeling pretty much normal. I'm not taking pain meds anymore, and I don't even think I'm taking anything anymore. I think it's just taking like the anti-seizure medication and stuff that they told me to take, but I don't think I'm really taking any. Maybe some Tylenol a couple times a day or something, but Riley just she just comes and hands me pills, and I just take them. So she has my schedule, but
Riley.
So yeah. I mean, it's pretty gnarly finding all that stuff out now, but either way, I mean, all I need to know is the surgery went well. It's done with. It's successful. I will be back on the bike next year, which was obviously, one of Mitch and Cowie's concerns as this is my contract year, so I'm I have to resign, and that was their main concern. Like Mitch has been nothing but cool throughout the whole process. Like, he was like, okay, yeah, get it taken care of. Like, he's like, we definitely are still interested in having you on the team next year. So he's like, I just need to make sure you can race next year. He's like, if you can be on a Supercross track at the beginning of the year next year, like if you can race, he's like, then we got no problem.
Nice.
Like, but he's just been super supportive, and he's like, look, this sucks, but I mean, he was like, he was really, really happy with the program and with how I was riding this year, and just, Rhino and Charles, and just everything that was going on this year. And I mean, I won every single race and was going to win that one until I crashed. I won the heat race, and 2.5 more laps of that main. So, I mean, I started the season as good as you could have. So he was obviously really stoked, and which is why he's been so supportive through he's been so supportive through everything, just because,
the whole career, but
he still knows that I can, I mean, I've proven it time and time again that no matter what injury I have and everything, like, which is, I guess, honestly, probably something that I'm most proud about in my career, I guess, is just the fact that, like, people don't understand how gnarly it is coming back from, like, injuries, like especially like knees or shoulders or things that take a long time to recover from, like coming back from a collarbone. You played a collarbone, you're back on the bike in 3 weeks or whatever. I mean, that's not as gnarly, but coming back from the big injuries, I mean, I had 2 ACL surgeries like last year on the same knee.
Yeah.
And then I still showed up this year and in maybe my best form ever, you know? So that is honestly probably one of the things I'm most proud about in my career is that, like, just the fact that every time I get hurt, I still come out and I can still compete with anybody who's on the track. Like, I'm still battling for race wins and everything, no matter what the injury is, no matter what the recovery time was from that injury. Like every time I'm back on the track, I'm still a top guy. And that's honestly like that is something that have grown to be. I mean, maybe not, I guess at first, but with all the injuries and stuff that I've had to go through now, that's something that I'm really, really like proud of is that, because that's really tough to do. Like there's some guys that get hurt or they like, I mean, you go ask any doctor in almost any other that deals with normal sports, they will tell you that ACLs, you know, rotator cuffs, Achilles, stuff like that, those are career-ending injuries, like in lots of sports. Where in moto, I mean, we come back from that stuff and we're straight back to it, you know. So that, I mean, motos, we're kind of a different breed, but I guess my point is that those are, I've kind of had what some doctors would consider career-ending injuries, and yet I come back and I'm still at the top. I'm still one of the top dogs. At least in the 250 class. So that is something that I've grown to be really, really proud of, I guess. And like just happy with myself on, you know, let me ask that I'm still good.
Let me ask you this. Cause, the first video you posted on February 28th, the really emotional one of the things that you were kind of talking about was, you know, why do I keep having to go through this? And you know, you're a Christian guy, so you're saying that, you know, maybe God's trying to show me something. And if I just jump back out there, the second I get released, maybe I'm not listening to what he wanted to tell me at the time. So you still have that, got to have that in the back of your mind, right? Maybe he's still trying to show me something. So how did you come to terms with that? What was the point where you said, okay?
I don't know. Exactly. I kind of just like there's well, I'll just be honest, like I'm the fans that I have and the people that support me anyway, like I have haters and stuff like everybody.
Sure.
But the fans, I mean the real fans that I have are people who can relate to the struggle and everything, you know? And I've had, you know, I just think back literally before the Dallas from between the opening ceremonies and then the 450s had a first heat race. They were before us.
Yep.
So between the opening ceremonies and my heat race, I just hung out down there. It was military appreciation night. I had 3 like military guys. Like one was honorably discharged for like stepping on like an IED or something, and like blowing his leg off, or he parachuted out of a helicopter and like it like something happened. Something happened to him, and he was like a gnarly dude. And then there were 3 of them, and the one was maybe still in, or 2 were maybe still in, but like they were gnarly guys, and you know it's one thing to have kids look up to you and everything, like that's obviously awesome. And I have kids that are always saying like, you know, I got hurt and you're an inspiration to me or whatever. That's awesome too. But if I'm being honest, kids are not that hard to, you know, impress. You know, you take a kid to a local track and you hit a jump that you can hit literally. You can hit on a 65 and kids are, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Which that's just how kids are, you know. It's so kids they're easier to impress, you know, basically. But I had 3 literal war vets come up and we just had a conversation before my heat race at Dallas, and we're just talking about life, and they're talking to me about things that I've gone through or videos that I've put out talking about just like the video you were just talking about that stuff, and on how they could relate to that, and how the dude who he had PTSD or he had anxiety after and sitting in the hospital, and how much that sucked, and he can relate to that in me, and they were asking me questions on how I get back on the bike, and how I am able to go through these things. And I'm like, dude, you guys are like, I mean, I'm into guns, I'm into military, I'm into all that stuff. Like I wore night vision out that night. We talked about that and stuff. Like I'm into that heavily. And I'm like, okay, you guys are gnarly. Like, I mean, I think everybody can pretty much agree that the military, as far as, jobs, is about as gnarly as it gets. Like those, I mean, they're literally killing or being killed by people every day. That's pretty gnarly. And these guys are talking to me and having a conversation with me about how to overcome like fear and anxiety and stuff like that. Like that was pretty like I don't know, eye opener, I guess. Humbling, maybe? Like, yeah. It was just gnarly because like that showed me. I mean, I knew, but like that was like, okay, the stuff that I go through is clearly having an impact on certain people's lives. And it's not just kids. It's not just kids that want my autograph because I'm a pro dirt bike rider, and like, that's cool too. That's awesome too. But there are war vets that are coming up and talking to me and stuff and comparing situations they've gone through in their life to things that I go through in my life. And we're just having a conversation about just life things. And I'm like, that's cool. Like that is, yeah, cool. And that's kind of gnarly. And after I released that one video, I had like, I just go back to the whole, like when kids say when kids look up to you and stuff, that's one thing. But I had this chick, she DM'd me and said, hey, I'm a 50-year-old mother of 4. And I find encouragement in what you go through in my life. And she had nothing to do. She has never ridden a dirt bike in her life. She doesn't know it, but she found some sort. So I guess to answer your question on how I just kind of looked at situations like that. And I just kind of thought back to situations like that. And I just thought that I guess there's that scripture that it says like, God's talking about, or he's talking and he said, send me, pick me, send me out to fight or to do work. And I think of that as just like, if God's using me in a way, that is maybe not how I planned with my life, but if he can use me in a way to encourage others or to have an impact on other people's lives, like those situations, after going through those are cooler, and I will remember those, and those will mean so much more to me than any championship ever could. Awesome. And like, obviously, yeah, championships are awesome. I get a fat bonus check. You win a championship, you're going to get a fat contract for the next year, probably in a 450 class or whatever. Hey, you're going to, that's whatever, that's what you dream of as a kid. That's why we do this. But those situations on talking to people about real life and being sort of like just having those conversations with people, those are things that are really, really special. And I would rather have those sort of interactions with people and conversations with people or effects on their lives or whatever than, that is more special than me winning a championship ever could be. I mean, maybe obviously if I come back now and win a championship, that's going to be pretty, like, that's going to be really special. But I'm just saying, is it like 2019 when I won like all 5 races in a row to start that Supercross season, and as an amateur when I won everything, coming out of that, and with how that year started, even 2020 when I was battling Ferrandis for the championship, and I was at the last couple races, I was like 7 down, 7 points off going into the last race. Like I had a shot. That is how, maybe if I hadn't blown out my knee in 2019, my career could be so much different right now. I could be on 450s and I could possibly have 3-4 championships now if, things went as planned, I guess. But obviously they didn't. And obviously God has other plans for me. And if that's his plans and if that's what he has in mind for me, while, that's not exactly what I want, that's not exactly my plan, but that's, there's your plan. Yep. And then there's God's plan.
Absolutely.
So, that's kind of just, that's kind of how I look at things now, is that just, like maybe instead of taking everything as such a, why did this happen? Why is this going on? Just, screaming to praying. Why are you doing this to me? What did I do to deserve this? What do I need to change in my life to, what needs, like, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to, like, why does this keep happening? Maybe I should be, obviously on this last one, I should be thanking him, because if he only, with, when I was in the hospital, that was just I was just crying to Riley and just, why is this happening? What did I do? Why did this happen? And, he's looking down on me, shaking his head, just like, dude, if you only knew what I'm doing for you right now. Like, this whole life thing that you enjoy, the ups, the downs, the love, the adrenaline rush, all the feelings and experiences in life, I'm saving that for you by doing this crash. So, that's like, I'm keeping you alive and keeping you from, having a stroke or something that's going to, make me a vegetable the rest of my life. Like, something like that was 100% a possibility if we didn't get this thing taken care of. So that's, and I don't know, there might not be a reason for literally every single crash that I've ever had. Sometimes, I think that things just happen, but there's a very, very clear reason on why this last one happened. And, so maybe instead of just asking why me, why this, why that, I should be thanking him and I should be happy because, people say that I have people still DM me all the time. God telling me that God gives his toughest battles to his strongest warriors. I've had so many people DM me that or tell me that. And so, you know what, if God thinks that I'm that strong of a person or a warrior to put me through all the things that I've been through, then, that's not a bad way to look at things. Yeah. He obviously thinks that I'm strong enough and that I can handle all this enough, and that he's using me for a purpose that might not be what I had planned on in my life, or that I even realize what that purpose is. But there's something going on that you just kind of, I guess has just changed my perspective a little bit on, maybe having a career like I've had and being this guy that has gotten injured, but it keeps fighting and keeps, if I can inspire people, if that can have an effect on people, if that can lead people to God in some way, if that can, whatever the case is, isn't that more important than a championship?
I would say so, Austin. I would say so. Austin Forkner tonight, brought to you by ProX. Dude, this has been enlightening, man. I really appreciate you coming on here, being honest and open about, and you always are honest and open about your situations, and it means a lot for us for you to come on and talk about it. And we look forward to you getting back, man. But you got to take care of yourself first, and it sounds like you're doing that. But again, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. That's what I enjoy talk. Like, especially when I'm down and stuff. That's just another thing I've, with all the, like, I get people, like, guys that go through it, I guess, maybe, or more, they, when you go to press conference even or whatever, everybody just wants to leave. Like, just let me out. They don't want to do interviews or don't want to talk to people, like, or don't want to do this, don't want to do autograph signings or whatever, where, like, that's just another thing that's changed with my perspective is, like, I appreciate all that, man. Like, I took my dogs out for a walk earlier, and I had these kids stop, and they were riding Surons and pit bikes around the neighborhood, and they were like, "Yo, you're awesome Forkner, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And where a lot of people, they would, that would annoy them. But for me, that like because I've missed on so much of that throughout my career, I appreciate that stuff.
I dig it.
Stuff. So, so yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Good talking, and I will. I appreciate it.
All right, awesome. Well, take care. Tell Riley we said hi. Tell your mom Julia I said hi. Mike, everybody, tell your family we said hi.
Yep.
I don't know the next time I'll be at a race. I've been kind of staying home because Lewis Phillips goes to the races for us. But I look forward to seeing you back, man. As soon as you can get back.
Yep, I appreciate it, guys. I really do. Thank you.
You're welcome. See you soon, buddy.
Yep.
Right.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye. All right. Again, Austin Forkner brought to you by ProX. Good to get an update from him. Very gnarly, man. Brain surgery, super. It's just one of those things that we still don't know a lot about. So it's always, anytime you hear about them doing something to the brain, it's kind of like, it's unknown, right? A lot of unknown with it.
Yeah.
No matter how good the surgery is.
Right. The biggest thing I took from it was he's like, okay, he right after the crash in Arlington happened, he was like, "Oh my God, why again?" I was winning the championship, and then the fact that he looks at it is like, okay, that had to happen in order for this to be fixed. That could have killed me. So the fact that he looked at it is like, okay, there was a reason that happened. I always, there's always a bigger reason for stuff happening.
Sure.
So I'm glad that he realized that, and I think when he makes his comeback, that'll be a big part of why he's able to.
All right, we're going to jump back into the TBolt USA top 5. As you guys may recall, top 5 bucket lists, items for your life. You did yours, Scotty. I'll do mine real quick. We'll run through these a little quicker. We're going to maybe cut a couple things out tonight as the show's getting along, but we'll do the main stuff. But for me, I've said for a long time I want to visit Australia and New Zealand, so that trip would be one of my bucket list items. Going to both those countries. I just think from what I've seen, beautiful country, cool people.
Seeing all the country's hospitals, because that's
I don't want to do that.
He has been your MO so far.
Come on, man! I've been to one hospital in one country.
Got to start somewhere.
But I want to see some roos and some koalas. So yeah, this is kind of a minimal one, but I really want to see Metallica live someday.
No, yeah.
Not even like my favorite band, but it's just a band that I think I need to see. I also want to go to the Bahamas. That's just another trip, or somewhere like that.
Yeah,
some tropical.
Awesome.
Like I lived in Hawaii, but I want to go to.
You lived in Hawaii?
Yeah, my dad was stationed at Pearl Harbor, so I was there for almost 5 years. But I want to go to like Bahamas or something like that. The Cayman Islands. I don't know, just a cool beach trip. I want to skydive again. You mentioned skydiving, but I want to do it like. When I did it, I think it was 10,000 feet.
It can be a bucket list. You've already done it.
But I want to do it from higher, where you have a long free fall, and I'd like to do it not as a tandem.
Yeah.
So you'd have to take the classes.
You have to do a lot of jumps.
Yeah, I think I don't even know how it works, but I'd be okay with a tandem, I guess, also. But I want to be like twice as high as I was, because my free fall was, I feel like it was only like 15 seconds. It just happened so fast. Yeah. I want to fall for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Whatever that takes, that's what I want to do. And then, this is stupid, but everybody knows I want to have Dax Shepard on the show or interview Dax Shepard someday. That's a big one. That's my bucket list.
Cringe.
Yeah, man. This is my man crush. That's mine. Doc, you got 5 bucket list items?
I do.
Let's knock them out.
Like we've said, they're not in any kind of order.
Yeah, no worries.
And of course, as I'm still racing, of course, it's a racing mind writing these out for the most part.
Sure, that's fine.
My first one was I want to race outside the U.S.
Okay.
Even if it's just one race, I want to do a race outside the U.S. and go somewhere I haven't been. I don't even have my passport at the moment, so just do something a little different there.
Yeah.
Would you count Canada?
I could count Canada, but
that's not really what you mean.
Yeah,
you want to go to Europe.
I want to do something I can't drive to go. Right?
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
I want to go either watch. I would love to race in MXGP, but I go most likely just watch an MXGP. And
that's a good one. I should put that on my list.
Same with an F1 race.
Okay.
Oh wow.
I would like to do one outside the U.S. as well. Just see different parts, different cultures, everything like that. I have on here just later down the road, I would like to start something like a motor-related business.
Okay.
Whether that be something in like training other riders or a whole business, moto parts, something like that. And then my last one, of course, is I would like to get on a team, even if it's like a satellite team or something like that. I in my career, I want to end up on a team, you know?
Yeah.
That's always a goal and everything like that. So
okay, I like those.
That's a pretty big one for me.
I got to jump back real quick to the highs and lows because I wrote it on here, but I didn't even say it. One of the highs of this weekend is the fact that, or last weekend, was that Amber drove 14 hours to come hang out with me at the race and actually like was cleaning my helmet and checking on my tear-offs and like she was really involved. So
I literally LOL'd when you were on Pulp last night and Steve said he couldn't get Pookie to go 14 minutes.
yeah, I thought that was pretty great. But now Amber seems to be all in. And as I said last night on the show, yes, we are still sort of in that honeymoon phase. It's just over 5 months, but I get the feeling she's the type to be really involved in that kind of stuff because she grew up around off-roading and playing in the dirt and riding. So I think she's going to be she's a keeper, man. Okay, Evans coolant emails. Evans waterless coolant protects your engines because it always stays liquid cool. Steam inside the engine creates hot spots and detonation. But with Evans, the metal is always liquid cooled. Used by HRC Honda, Factory Beta USA, and Pro Factory Yamaha, and lots of other teams. Regardless of sponsorship, Evans is in the bikes on the podium. All right, let's get through some of these. I wasn't as prepared as I thought I was going to be. So there's Faith. Do we do? Oh, we didn't do Faith's highs and lows either. Crap. We're rushing too much tonight. All right, real quick. Going back to the Yamaha highs and lows. Faith. High point 250 races. Hayden can win or come close to winning in outdoors no matter what sort of start he gets. Low. I expected Tom and Levi to be winning or being on the podium for most of these races. I thought Tom would be a lot better this year. High, Southwick can have a mix-up in both classes. It will test everyone. Low, this off week feels like an eternity. High, Dean Wilson winning in Brazil. Thanks, Faith, for always being involved. I'm sorry I didn't get to those earlier. I obviously was missing some of my notes. All right, these are the father stories. Let me skip through these. Great radio, I know. Got to find them. I had them all in order, but then we changed things up a little bit.
That's a good one for Dog. Which you and your dad have obviously pretty much your entire life has been moto. What's your biggest memory of riding with your dad?
It would have been when I was younger. We used to ride pit bikes all the time.
Yeah, he was talking about that. How he
and we would just I was 10.
Yeah,
and him coming in and just absolutely stuffing me in a berm on a 110 or just those things like they're faint memories.
Back when he could do that,
but they're still right. But they're definitely memories there.
Yeah.
He mentioned that. He's like, that's why he's so aggressive rider now is because we just used to T-bone him.
Yeah. Okay, so TBolt owner Vince Pale, actually TBolt USA owner Vince Pale, sent his top 5 bucket list in. Ride or race Glen Helen on a YZ250F. Be part of a 250F shootout test. Vacation in Hawaii. Fly in a helicopter. Drive a tank. See an active volcano.
Drive a tank is a good one. I like
that is a good one. Can we add shoot a tank?
Oh yeah.
Drive and shoot.
They can come hand in hand if you do it right.
Yeah. Right. All right. Emails. Evan, cool emails. Kyle McCraney. My highs. All right. So he threw his highs in with this. Let's actually skip his highs. Sorry. What we'll do is email. The question, if y'all have time, find this interesting. With Hayden starting off the season winning, the thought came to mind of how insane the internet would go if he pulled off an undefeated season. Which, a little late for that now. No, I never thought this was possible. I am realistic. But the question is, what do y'all think is more responsible for being the reason we have never seen an undefeated season in 250? Call it the lack of race maturity and likelihood of mistakes, or the difficulty of keeping a 250 running and reliable with how high-strung the smaller bikes are.
Just maturity.
Yeah.
Maturity.
I think that's a big one. It's hard for these guys. Like, Jet had to be really mature and kind of just not push all the time last year, back it down.
Yeah.
And that's a lot more difficult for these kids to do, I think.
Another thing for me on that is, on average, you have almost double the amount of factory riders on a 250 team than you do on a 450. If we're talking outdoors, all of them are racing together.
Yeah.
So you have all the factory bikes, let's say 20 instead of 10 factory riders trying to win a race instead of the 10. On average, the factory riders are going to be the ones to win the race. So when you have double the amount, the chances of one person winning all of them is half.
It's a good point also. And this email was from last week. I actually missed it last week. That's why he was talking about the undefeated season still. It was before, not last week, but before Ty won.
I I think it has a lot also to do with the bikes too, because like there's a different art to riding a 250F. It's, obviously they don't have the speed. I think that the 450 allows you to kind of really separate yourself more. So I think that's why you see a lot of 8.2s, 4.7s, stuff like that in the 250 class. Yeah, because it's just it's. I think it's more of start cross, whatever they call it.
It's just big maturity. I think.
Maturity is the number one. Yeah,
that's fair.
I think so.
Everyone's on a 450 in the 450 class. They can all separate if they did it right.
I know, but I mean,
So it's.
Hey, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, Shane Bagley sent in. If you unintentionally, this is for you from our talk about the going off track. And
okay.
So the title of this email is "Why Scotty is an Idiot."
Oh, great!
Stop acting
I
like
thought he was going to agree with me. I shouldn't have been so naive.
Don't be an idiot. Changed my life.
If you unintentionally kill someone, it's involuntary manslaughter. You made a mistake.
Easy. That is not.
You made a mistake. Wasn't intentional. You still suffer the repercussions. If you go off track, whether it was intentional or unintentional, it doesn't matter. Whether it meets criteria for penalty, not for me to say. That's up to the team that makes those decisions. I didn't see him look back for another rider. They said you don't necessarily have to slow down. This is about chase and have no roost. They look at whether you lost time or not and whether you got back on safely. Scotty is an idiot. That is actually in the email. I would have said it without it, but we're not going to discuss that discussion again. That was just because we've already had it, and we're running late.
Wasn't comparing it to murder, but that's okay.
Well, he's just saying it doesn't matter if you intended to do it or not. You did it. You got to be punished.
That's fair.
Marco Felipe.
But they didn't.
I'm assuming it's Felipe, not Philip, because it's Phillippe.
So wait, hold on. I got to go back to that. If a juror of your peers found you innocent, then that doesn't count.
The jury of the peers found him guilty. There was one that said not guilty.
But they didn't They didn't penalty.
We did. We all found him guilty.
Okay.
Marco said it should be. This is hang on. Oh, this is the same topic. It should be a time penalty for going off the track. If you go off track, let's say you get a 2-second penalty. If you win the race by 1.5 seconds and you have a 2-second penalty, you get pushed to second place. I think it would be better and more consistent than giving somebody a position penalty and you get knocked down under people you have been 10 seconds ahead of.
Yeah, that's so hard to really do right though.
Yeah, because what if you're off track longer than the penalty?
It would be so hard to do it the right way.
The whole topic's hard to deal with anyway. I mean, to figure out there's not really just one.
There's no full right answer.
Yeah, for every situation, it is situational, and then you have human error to worry about. But all right, Vince Pale from TBolt USA. Can anyone beat Hayden Deegan at Southwick? It was his worst race last summer that he finished. 10-4 finishes, I believe. Tom Vial seems to be the favorite coming into the race after winning last year, but we have the vet Max Anstie lining up at the Star Racing Yamaha 2. We kind of already talked about that, so I'm going to say yes. Somebody can definitely beat Hayden, and I think they do this weekend. I don't think wins.
There's probably about 5 people that could end up winning, yeah.
Okay. 5.
That's who are they?
I would say we have Anstie, we have Vial. I think Kitchen's pretty good there.
Okay. 3.
We have Masterpool, which he's won.
Yep,
so he's going to be off that high.
Yeah. Sure.
And then
he trained at Athens this week.
I was going to say he trained at Mini Lommel.
Yeah. I can't remember the last. I could see Hymus doing really well there.
Hymus is not bad either. Yeah. Okay. All right. You're not completely wrong then. Okay. Let's do. Here's what we're gonna do. So I was going to do all the father-son riding stories, right? I'm not gonna do them all tonight. We will read them at the next show. But what we will do is pick our winner tonight, and we'll read that one right now. So I have a hat full of the entries. Doc, reach in there and just pick one.
Alrighty, here you go.
You can read the name.
Here, just read it.
Okay. Okay, so the winner of the father-son riding story and the FXR casual giveaway is Derek Gravett. Let me find that story real quick. We will read your story, and then we'll get to the others next week. I will email you probably tonight or tomorrow to give you the details. All right, Derek, here we go. Hey, fellas. Love the show and love all the shit you guys give each other. I've never participated in one of the giveaways before, but this one is special to me. I grew up in a moto family. Every weekend we were riding or racing somewhere together, As I got older, my mom stopped riding, then my sister, and then my dad started to ride less and less. Although I still rode or raced every weekend, my dad would only join once every few months. I would always try to get him to ride or come race enduros with me, but it became very difficult, so I pretty much just stopped asking. In 2022, I was following the entire National Enduro Series, and one of the stops was in Marquette, probably Michigan, about as far north on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan you can go. Living in the southeast, that was almost a 20-hour drive to get to. It also just so happened that the following weekend was the Motocross of Nations at Redbud. With the two events being merely a week apart and both in Michigan, I convinced my dad to make the trip with me. It was just the two of us with our bikes camping in my small toy hauler. We raced enduro the first weekend and then rode at a different riding area every single day until Friday. Working our way down Michigan until we got to Redbud to watch MXON Saturday and Sunday, where the rest of our family joined. Looking back, I know this was probably the last big adventure I will have had with my dad, and being able to get to spend time doing what I grew up loving to do with him will forever be one of the best weeks of my life. And to top it off, getting to watch the USA team come away with the win could not have ended the trip any better. Attached is my favorite pick from the trip, and below are a couple of links to my IG for each day of the trip if you want to check them out. I will work on posting the photo on my personal Instagram. This is a really cool story, Derek. I will email you. I'll get your information. We'll get you set up with FXR and some prize, a couple hats, a couple shirts, one for you, one for your dad. But we really appreciate everybody that joined. I promise we'll read all the rest next week. Let's close this thing out with the EVS picks for Southwick in the 450 class. Over the past 39 years, EVS Sports has established itself as a leader in innovation and technology when it comes to designing protection gear for today's motocross riders. Athletes like RJ Hampshire, Kyle Chisholm, Freddie Norrin, Axel Hodges, and Travis Pastrana all wear EVS when they race, ride, or whatever Travis decides to do that day. So check out evs-sports.com and use the code VITALMX30. It's all caps to save. Don't forget the Axis Web Eclipse knee braces are out now. You can also get the TP199 and Slayco 96 knee guards. For me, I'm not a knee guard guy unless I'm like riding pit bikes, but I love those knee guards. And I also big fan of the technical undergear shirts and boxers and padded shorts.
Yeah, I love those knee braces.
Do you like them?
I love them.
You're wearing the new ones?
I'm wearing the new ones.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. There's a pro rider, privateer that's digging the Axis Web Eclipse knee braces. Okay, EVS picks for Southwick 450 class. Doc, let's give me your winner from podium for number 1 to 3.
All right, it's gonna be controversial. I think Hunter's gonna win.
I like it actually.
Yep, I think Jet's gonna get second.
Okay.
And oh goodness, who do I think? I have no clue. I would like to see Cooper, not Cooper Webb, but Justin Cooper get third.
So you want to go J Coop?
J Coop.
Okay. Those are good picks.
I can't remember how J Coop is at Southwick. Is he always pretty solid?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't remember his results specifically,
he's always been,
but
good enough to where you know he's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your picks?
It's just so hard to not pick Jet now.
I agree. That's I mean I actually picked him to win because it's just like I give up.
It's yeah. I actually like Doc's Hunter pick. That's a good pick, but I'm not going to steal it. I'm going to say Chase.
Moving him up. All right, I like it.
I'm going to say Chase, Jet, Hunter.
Okay. Well, I went Jet, Hunter, Chase, but those are our picks. Please send yours in, MotoXpodshow@gmail.com. Get them in before Friday, so that or before the race, actually. Just get them in before the race so we don't, if you send them Sunday, it doesn't count. Yeah. So,
Do you think that that's the only 3 people that can really win a moto?
No. Just J Coop can win one.
Yeah.
I mean,
he pretty much had Lakewood if he just held on.
Yeah, I think the he's got the stamina. I guess it is. He definitely
he admitted
lost some energy there, but he's coming around.
He's also having to get used to running up there.
Yeah,
once you get used to that, then it's just becomes
it's just got to keep doing it. Yeah. By the end of the season, for sure, I think he can get one. All right, I want to thank Max Anstie, Austin Forkner, Andrew and Hudson Short. I want to thank our presenting sponsors, Racetech and Yamaha Motor USA. I also want to thank Guts Racing, FXR, X-Brand, Pro X, EVS, Evans Coolant, Barnett Clutches, TBolt USA. These sponsors allow this show to happen. So please go use the promo codes when we have them. Support the people that support us. It means a lot. Involve yourself by going to motoxpodshow@gmail.com. Send us some emails on these topics. We'll get all the father-son rides done next week. I'm really looking forward to reading those on air. Congratulations to Derek Gravitt. We'll be back next week with another show. But other than that, guys, we are out of here.